1 minute warning. And here we go. Hello, my friends. Hopefully the recorder is running. So Dr. David Snyder here. Welcome to another episode of one of my favorite topics to talk about, even though sometimes it's a little bit of a downer sometimes because of the content. This is called Weapons of Social Seduction: Defense Against the Dark Arts Edition. In the next 2.5 hours or so, I'm going to take you as far as I can into the amazing and fascinating world of influence, persuasion, manipulation, psychological operations, and all things pertaining to how to get people to want to do the things you want them to do. And perhaps even more importantly, how to keep people from getting you to do things you don't want to do, and how to flag those people. So again, I skipped my usual pregame warm-up. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to start giving you some basic guidelines for the next 2.5 to 3 hours. So first and foremost, if you're a first timer here to Planet David, type your name and where you're checking in from in the chat. If you're a veteran of Planet David, please take a moment and type in your name, where you're checking in from, and how long you've been a citizen of Planet David. The reason I'm asking that is because, as is my tradition, is I don't do anything alone. And what I mean by that is, when you guys log into a webinar for anybody, and I know you guys are no strangers to other people's webinars and things like that, you have certain expectations. And I take great pride a lot of times in kind of not following those. Yes, there is an offer connected to everything that we do, because we always have to give our students the next level or the steps to take to level up. But you don't need to do that if you don't want to, right? If you just take the skills that we're going to cover and apply them to your life today, tomorrow, the day after, you're going to see significant changes in things, right? You're going to start to see the world through a new lens. And that's my goal, really. Yes, of course, I want you to, buy our courses and do all those things. That's anybody who's in the business of influence and information. But the truth is I want you to level up your life. I want you to be safe. I want you to be protected. And there's a lot of people, especially post-COVID, that have a vested interest in, pardon my French, I should probably give you my first disclaimer. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offend you, this is probably not the best use of your next 2.5 to 3 hours. And yes, I said 2.5 to 3 hours because we don't follow the strict 90-minute webinar format. Okay, so there's a lot of agencies out there who are trying to mind fuck you. Okay, through the emotions, through your physical appearance, all kinds of ways, worse than it ever was before 2019. My job here tonight is to guide you on a journey where you can discover how these things are working in your life and what you can do about it. Now, that being said, I do have a few rules. Okay, first of all, I love questions, right? I get that. But the truth is that the more questions I get, the further off track I tend to go. So we have a couple of protocols in place for when you ask a question. And it's very simple. If you ask a question, type it in the chat. If I see it and it's relevant to the point where we're at in the webinar and it won't take us too far afield, I may answer it. If I'm behind schedule or I'm ahead of schedule or whatever, and I feel it's going to take away from the quality of the training tonight. And tonight is a training. Okay, we're going to be teaching you stuff. And we're going to be giving you experiences, and I want you to really interact and engage and follow the instructions that we give you, because that will level you up. But if for some reason I don't answer your question, keep asking it. And this is where I was asking my veterans. This is where I tell you we're a team effort. For you veterans of Planet David, if you see a question in the chat that I didn't answer, and you have direct experience and solving that question or answering that question in the real world using our technologies, I invite you in the most unobtrusive way to reach out to the person asking the question and give them your experience using our technologies to solve that problem. Okay. If that's still not enough, if you want a direct answer from me and I don't give it to you during this webinar, then it's very simple. Every webinar has a replay. At the end of this replay, YouTube is going to process the content, and then it's going to make it available in the live stream section of our YouTube channel. If you go to that channel, you find the comment section and you type your question in. I make it a practice 3, 4, 5 times a week to go through the channel and answer as many comments as I can. I delete the trolls and the spammers, right? Because like any good shepherd, you got to make sure your flock is healthy, right? And I will answer your question. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you that too. And I'll point you in a direction that I think you have the best chance of getting your questions answered. Is that a fair trade? If you think that's fair, go ahead and type "that's fair" in the chat for me. Cool. All right. Very good. Now, to our beloved fans out in YouTube land, your chats are in real time, but the video has about a 60-second or so delay. So sometimes I'll be asking for something and you're about a minute behind. By the time you guys answer, you're about a minute behind. Okay. But I will do my best to answer your questions too. So I have 2 chats going right now while I'm teaching this content. And that being said, let me explain how tonight is going to go. All right. There are 3 levels to our content. You have foundations, you have next steps, and you have application and customization. So let me explain those for you. First part of our program is all about the foundations, the must-have information you need to be able to apply what's coming in the other 2 sections. Okay. The whole point of it is to give you a set of principles and experiences that you can actually prove to yourself these things are powerful and work, and you can start using them right away. So when you grab the entire system, then you'll know that it's the real thing and so forth. So that being said, and I'm going to give you some other reasons why that's true in just a minute when we start the information part of our webinar tonight. Part 2 is next steps. That's where we show you the packages we put together. We tell you how to level your skills up, what to do next. We explain how that works, what all your options are. After phase 2, phase 3 is called the customization and integration phase. Each and every one of you here tonight, true or not true, you can type it in the chat, true or not true, had a very specific thing you wanted to use these skills for. True, not true. There was a particular application. Maybe it's romance, maybe it's making more money, maybe it's getting better with your spouse, helping your clients. You all had something that you wanted as a byproduct from tonight's training. True? If that's true for you, type that in chat. Make more money, perfectly valid application. Helping clients, awesome sauce, right? I'm going to show you how to customize the content of what I teach and the systems that I teach to help you with those applications. Now, obviously, I can't drill down on every single person's application, but what I can do is I can look at what the majority of you really most want to know about, because when you clicked on this webinar, you had a very specific outcome. And I want to make sure that you come away as a byproduct of this training, being able to do those things. Does that make sense? Okay. So, but once again, if this is the scope of every single thing that there is to learn about influence, persuasion, and especially the dark side of persuasion, we've got time for this. So my commitment as your guide, your teacher, your mentor, your instructor is to take you as far down this rabbit hole as I can, to empower you as deeply as humanly possible and give you the steps to take it even further. That's my commitment to you. Is that a fair trade? Yes or yes, as T. Harv Eker would say. Make more money and my spouse. You want to make your spouse more money, Christopher? Is that what you're? All right. Healer's Corner, right on. Expand my knowledge of NLP. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. So first and foremost, is this the right place for you? Well, let's find out. If you can answer yes, and when I say if you can answer yes, I want you to type yes in the chat if any of these apply to you, or if you want to use the skills in this webinar to accomplish any of these. How many of you, by a show of that's me in the chat, would like to be more super attractive to the opposite sex? Maybe you have other people find you charming, fascinating, and irresistible. Would that change your life in any way, shape, or form? How many of you would like to banish fear and insecurity and move through the world radiating confidence and authority and have people just deferring to your suggestions and directions? Would that be something that's worthwhile for you? I already saw some people here. Obviously, you guys want to make more money. If I could show you a nearly bulletproof way to eliminate all resistance from your communication and get people salivating for you, your product or service, would that be something you'd be interested in learning about? Here's an even more important question, because everybody wants to learn about something. But here's the question I have for you. Is it something you're willing to do something about? Because nothing good in your life happens when you learn. The learning only has value when you act upon it, when you take the actions that you took the time to learn about so that you can do. So are you willing to take actions on these things? So only answer yes if you're willing to take actions on the things I'm talking about. Otherwise, you might as well go watch the Three Stooges or Gossip Girl or whatever you're doing. How many of you would like to be able to protect yourself from manipulators and easily handle difficult people more easily? Would that be helpful? Okay, that's on the to-do list tonight. If you'd like to be able to program yourself to create massive financial abundance with more than enough money to do the things you want. Anybody here on board with that? All right, I'm going to show you how to do that. If you'd like to be able to nail 2 or 3 job interviews on the spot and have them salivating to hire you, that's on the to-do list too. Type yes in the chat if that's something you might want to need or find useful as a backup plan, right? If you're someone who's in a leadership or management position, a coach, and you want to be able to, you'd like to be able to inspire your employees, your children, or your spouse to do what you want them to do, to do what you know you need them to do so that they get the results they're paying you good money for, type yes in the chat. If you've ever fantasized about being able to surround yourself with a tribe, a group of people that love you, appreciate you, validate you, support you, believe what you believe, who value what you value, type yes in the chat, because it's on the to-do list too, right? If you've ever fantasized about being like Obi-Wan, these are not the droids you're looking for, right? Easily put anyone under your spell just by using a few basic patterns or basic words, just by talking to them. And perhaps even more importantly, perhaps you'd like to stop somebody from pulling a Jedi mind trick on you. Is that something you'd like to learn about, be interested in? All right, that's on the to-do list. So, of course, let me just close this window really quick. I'm bouncing around between 4 or 5 windows. So a lot of people ask, who the hell is Dr. David Snyder and why should I care? Right? Why am I even remotely qualified to talk to you about this material? Well, first and foremost, I am an actual doctor of acupuncture and Oriental medicine. I finished my Oriental medical training to be licensed in California in 2005. I got my doctorate in 2018, I believe it was 2018, 2019. I'm working on a second doctorate right now in a more expansive approach to Chinese energetic medicine and energy psychology, specifically, is my focus. But I've had a clinical practice. There's a copy of my doctorate, by the way. I've had a clinical practice in Solana Beach, California for the last 18 years, where I've focused on treating physiological illness caused by repressed emotions. In other words, I've spent a lot of time tracking and dealing with physical illness that's caused by how people are thinking and feeling, what they're dealing with, what they're not dealing with, what their motivations are to do that and to not do that. So I've had a face full of stuff about how people use their minds inexpertly to create crap in their life, right? Most disease, in my opinion, is a form of negative manifestation. The people who manifest diseases are powerful manifestors. They're just doing it in the wrong direction. So a lot of times all we need to do is get their direction changed and your whole life changes automatically. But perhaps even more importantly and relevant to tonight's webinar, for the last going on 9 years, I've been ranked among the top 2 NLP trainers in the world by globalgurus.org. I've authored well over 15 different products on various forms of persuasion, influence, for therapeutic applications, for attraction and dating applications, sales and marketing applications, you name it. I've spent a lot of time. In fact, one of the things that if you read one of my other bios, I was one of the first people to actually pioneer the use of hypnotic language patterns and overt hypnosis while performing acupuncture. Tremendously powerful combination. More people should actually do it, but they don't. For those of you who are interested, this is a letter from globalgurus.org. And it says, with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by the global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for NLP for 2022. We also, I have a new letter that says for 2023. I'm waiting to hear if we made 2024, but 2024 is not over yet. So the elements that you're going to be learning tonight are drawn from two of our most powerful, most popular programs, Killer Influence and Killer Influence Defense Against the Dark Arts. That's where the information is coming from. And it is the #1, is the flagship program for NLP training in the world to date. Okay. I'm really, really proud of it. And it's really just a cool thing. Again, this is what you'll be covering. This is the material we'll be covering tonight. Killer Influence, Defense Against the Dark Arts, right? Program, #1 NLP program for 2023. Okay. I'm also a master martial artist. I've been a professional martial artist for many, many years. I have a 10th degree black belt in Okinawan karate, a 5th degree black belt in Shaolin Kun Tao, 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo Ryu, 1st degree black belt in Funku-Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, and of course I have a certified instructor in combat sistema, cinco mano eskrima, and a basic instructor in modern arnis. I like to make a joke that I've got more energy healing credentials than McDonald's sells hamburgers. I've been a Reiki master teacher since before Reiki was cool. I'm certified as an advanced pranic healer and pranic psychotherapist. I'm certified in advanced DNA theta healing and manifestation techniques. I'm a certified Bengston energy healer, and I'm currently working on my doctorate in Chinese energetic medicine, aka medical qigong. Actually, a lot more in depth than regular medical qigong. And I'm hoping to finish that sometime this year or early 2025. So people see all this stuff and they ask, okay, David, I get it, but what's the point of this? I mean, the point of this is what they all have in common, which is what's really important today, and that's pattern recognition. So let me explain that. Everything human beings do, from the way we walk and move, to the way we think, to the way we feel, to the way we imagine, to the way we speak, has a structure. And that structure creates patterns of thought, movement, emotion, perception. And if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and you can perceive these patterns, you can start to make very, very accurate predictions about what somebody is most likely to do, think, or feel at any given moment. And if you have a little bit of skill, then you also have the ability to interrupt those patterns, inject a change, and create a whole new direction towards what you really want in that person and in yourself. So when you ask, what does pattern recognition have to do with human influence? Practically everything. Everything human beings do has a pattern and a structure. And if you know how to manage that structure, then you can write your own ticket in this world. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? Type it in the chat. Remember, this is an interactive seminar. So the more interactive you get, the more stuff I tend to give. Okay. I love you all, right? Excellent. Okay. So let's talk now about what we're going to be focusing on. Now, I went through a really exhaustive laundry list of things you were going to be able to do. The beautiful thing about that list that I just read and had you guys raise your hands for is that a small handful of techniques used properly can allow you to do all of those. And that's what's exciting. That's what's so cool about the technology I'm going to share with you. Now, there's a lot more to learn than what we're going to be able to cover tonight. Obviously, there's complete systems. But if you stay until the end, this is what I promise you. I promise you, I will teach you the fastest, most powerful, and ethical way to influence people to like, love, trust, and obey you because they want to. not because they have to, although that will be part of it too. Okay. I will teach you how to have people hanging on your every word and literally salivating to do what you want them to do because they want to do it, not because you asked them to do it. Okay. It's 100% ethical and honest. I'm going to teach you how to control and manage your emotions so that nobody can push your buttons ever again. Right. And I'm going to teach you how to remove resistance to your influence. How many people here have ever been told no way too many freaking times? Anybody? Raise your hands or type, yes, that's me in the chat. Everybody's saying no to no, right? Now, I'm going to give you the meta principle right now, but the fastest, most ethical way to get somebody to do the thing they just said they didn't want to do is to have them create their own reason for doing it. Let me repeat that in a less tongue twisty way. The most powerful, ethical, and honest way to get somebody to do something they just told you they do not want to do is to have them create their own reason for why they want to do it. And it's very simple to do that if you follow the formula. Okay. So if you stay until the end, you'll have an opportunity to learn that. Okay. Finally, this comes mostly in part 2 of tonight's webinar. I'm going to give you the exact steps needed to go from interesting information to maximum transformation in minimum time. Now, once again, information is great, but it's impotent if you don't take the right actions. So when you get the opportunity to grab the additional trainings and things like that, I want you to take advantage of that. Okay. Not because I say you should, but because you know it's where you need to go. Okay. That's it. Because again, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. If you're happy with that, that's fine. But if you want something more, if you want to level up your life, take the steps. Okay. Action is all about action. Okay. So here's what we're going to start with. I want to teach you today the secret backdoor into every human being's nervous system. This is such a simple, seemingly obvious thing. And yet I am blown away every single day by how it just opens people up and allows you to get to know them and let them feel, more importantly, like they know you better than they know anybody else in their life. It's really, really cool. And it forces a person to pay massive attention to you. Okay. We're going to talk about emotional bonding and attraction. This is one of the solid, like everybody has kryptonite in their heart. We're going to show you how to play with it. Okay. I want to teach you about the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence. In fact, I'll teach you about those right now. Okay. There are 4 areas of macro persuasion, macro influence that you, as an influence professional, an agent of transformation, because that's what you are, whether you're doing those transformations in a coaching context, a therapist context, a sales context, a management or leadership context, you're an agent of transformation. Your job is to make things change and happen, right? So, authority. First and foremost, the absolute king of all influence triggers is perceived authority. Okay. The moment somebody perceives you as an authority, socially, professionally, militarily, financially, right, lifestyle wise, they will automatically become hyper suggestible to you. Okay. This is really important because we want to learn how suggestibility is a willingness to be open and accept the suggestions and follow the instructions. Right. So the first one, the king, is authority. Okay. The second one is called attractivity. Now, attractivity is the phenomena of attraction. There's 2 aspects to this: being attracted and becoming attractive. And so that's the whole secret of attractivity. How do you become not just physically attractive, which is something you should learn to manage anyway, but how do you become emotionally attractive to people? Right? How does that happen, and how do you up your emotional attraction? But even more importantly, how do you keep somebody else from hacking that attraction? How do you keep somebody from getting access to a part of you that's very intimate and very easily led? if that makes any kind of sense. We're going to show you how that works from both sides. How do we remove, and finally you have affinity. Affinity is they're just like me, connection, rapport. If you've been through classical sales training or Ericksonian hypnosis, or even NLP training, you hear a lot of people talk about rapport. We're going to go a little bit higher than just rapport. We're going to talk about something called the identity principle. The identity principle is simply this: people gravitate, migrate towards people they identify with, people who have something that says you're like me. And the more you become focused and realize you're like me with this person, then the more you cleave and hold on to that. Okay, this is a really, really powerful connection to have. And if you understand how it works, you can create filters in your mind that keep the wrong people out, but also send up little red flags that whenever somebody's pushing those identity buttons, you can become more aware of it and make a more informed decision about who you should pay attention to and who you shouldn't, right? And that's really what that's about. And then finally, the last one is called acquiescence. And acquiescence is the go along to get along factor. One of the things you'll discover as you begin to amp up your influence and your charisma, because that's a lot of what goes into charisma, goes into these tactics as well. One of the things that will start to happen is that a certain percentage of people in any group will just do what you say because you told them to do it. It's a very weird, right? I think there's a correlation between the level of natural suggestibility. Like a third of the population are hyper suggestible and hyper, they'll go into somnambulism or those deep hypnotic states at the drop of a hat. But the difference is that, let's say I'm in a group, you're in a group, and there's a bunch of other, like there's 5 or 6 other people. All things being equal, the third of that population that will do what I say, no matter what, just because I said it and I'm there in the room, will be different from the third of the population that does what you say just because you're there in the room. And that kind of kicks the whole idea of universal suggestibility in the teeth a little bit. So those are the 4. If you have any 2, you'll automatically generate a third, right? So if I combine authority and attractivity, I'll get acquiescence, right? If I combine affinity with attractivity, I'll tend to get authority, right? So this is kind of what's really cool, is they can stand alone or they can be combined. But what's really interesting, especially where authority and attractivity are concerned, is the kind of compliance that you get is different. When you have somebody who has a high level of authority, and authority is the only principle that does not require high levels of rapport or affinity to function, right? When you have a high enough level of authority, people will do what you say, but they will find a way to get payback. We call it passive aggressive or reactant behaviors. They'll find a way to fuck you back. Okay. So you've all seen this, where people have gotten a little Napoleonic complex because they were given a little too much power and they were just throwing their weight around. You had to obey them, but you found a way to make them pay for it, right? So too much authority without anything to buffer it will create compliance, but it will also create things designed to passively aggress against that through reactance. Okay. Whereas high levels of attractivity, in other words, you have physical and emotional attraction going on, people will simply do what you ask because they want to please you, because they want to be validated by you, right? So you get a very different, and so they'll have much more of a fawning type of a behavior to them. So you'll get compliance from each of the 4, but the dynamics of how that's expressed and what can happen as a byproduct of that training is very, very different. So we'll talk more about that in the Killer Influence training. Okay. Of course, we're going to talk about how to remove resistance. We're going to teach you finally how to really take control of your life so you can get the life you want the way you want it and master yourself from the inside out. Does that sound like a plan? Yes or yes? Two participants raising hand. I don't see the hands raising, so type yes in the chat for me. Excellent, very good. I like to see lots of yeses going by. It makes me happy. All right, so let's talk about where this, let me give you the gun, right? So I want you to think of each of the techniques tonight that we're going to cover, like bullets for a gun. And I know, I don't care, I'm not, or whatever tool delivers a projectile to a target. If you like bow and arrow, think of them as bow and arrows, right? All right. But what I want to share with you tonight is the core of the killer influence and defense against the dark arts system. This is something I would encourage you to take a screenshot. Obviously, I don't have time to go through every single step because we need to get you into content as soon as possible. But this is what this would look like out in the field. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So what you're seeing here is called the CPI/killer influence system, the CPI model. We call this the universal persuasion protocol. It's a formula, a recipe that you follow. So it starts with knowing what you want. And this is the most important thing when it comes to being an influencer or an agent of change. When you are an agent of transformation, there are different types of conversations that you have. Some conversations are to create understanding. Some conversations are designed to create an action or a change. Some conversations are designed to allow somebody to express themselves. So let me be very clear. There are three types of conversation in any given interaction. There is communications designed to convey understanding, communications designed to create a result, and communications designed for expression. Yes, you have my permission to take a screenshot. I just don't want to find it in anybody else's products. All right. So it's important to understand that in the context of what we're going to be talking about, you have in your mind a specific outcome that you want to achieve, right? So the first thing is, what is that outcome? Is it to express yourself? Is it to create a direction or a behavior or a product, something you want somebody to do as a result of that? Or is it something that is designed to convey understanding? When most people communicate, they try to communicate from a place of expression or understanding. But from this moment forward, as an agent of transformation, your communications need to create a result in the mind of the subject that you're directing these communications at. In other words, there's going to be something that you're going to want them to do. Okay? So you've got to know what your outcome is, and you have to be able to measure it. Right? Now, if this were an NLP class, I could go through this long, drawn-out keys to an achievable outcome, SMART goals, yada, yada, yada. What's most important is that you have some way to know if you are moving towards what you want or away from it. That's reliable. I don't care what that is. Okay? After you know what you want and you have a way to measure it, you've got to control your own psycho-emotional state. Okay? You have to move through the world in a state that allows you to deploy your resources in a comfortable and appropriate way. You have to get rapport with your subject. In other words, you have to connect with them and let them feel that connection in such a way that they open up completely to you and me, and then use the language skills that you have to manage the state of the subject. So you have to be able to profile where they are and versus where you need them to be on the behavior scale, and move them from state to state to state until they become the person that's willing to take the action you want them to do. Now, that sounds really difficult. It's actually really, really easy if you follow this formula and do what you're told to do. Okay? You don't have to believe it. That's the best part about the content of tonight's webinar. You don't have to believe it. You just have to do it. You have to just follow the instructions and you'll get your result. After that, you want to jump into whatever process is normal for them to want to do what you want them to do. And then notice it says here, linked to their criteria and values. What does that really mean? It means bond to their emotional needs. In other words, you're going to find out as a byproduct of tonight's training how to elicit and evoke the emotional needs that anyone has for anything you want them to do. And as long as you can keep those connected, they will, within a certain amount of time, do what you want out of default because it satisfies their own emotional needs and gives you what you want. We call that a win-win, right? We call that a win-win situation, right? And the best part about all of this is that this will allow you to ethically and honestly influence people to do what you want them to do without ever having to lie, cheat, or steal. Now, obviously, we don't have time to go through all of these, so I'm just going to cherry pick some of the biggest bang for your bucks in this process. But let me circle back to the core about tonight's webinar. It is not necessary for you to lie, cheat, prevaricate, mislead, or coerce somebody to do what you want with these skills. But there are people out there who have no scruples about doing exactly that. Because if you understand how to bond to people's emotional needs, you can get them to eagerly want to do whatever it is you want them to do if you're willing to lie, right? We don't advocate that, but you've got to understand that that's a possibility if you want to be able to protect yourself from these predators out there. We call them persuasion predators, manipulators, right? The narcissists, the triads, the sociopaths, right? The human traffickers, the con artists, the grifters, right? These people are extraordinarily good at zeroing in on your emotional needs and stimulating them in such a way that you feel so good when you're around them that you will do what they say because you don't want to lose that connection. Okay? We don't do that, but there are people out there who will, and you need to understand both sides of that coin. I call this sharpening the knife that protects you. So let me explain that principle. As you saw from my resume, right? I've been a martial artist for a long time. And one of the things that I learned from I had some great instructors, some super great teachers. And one of the things they taught me was that if you ever go to a self-defense class and the instructor tries to teach you something like how to protect yourself against a knife or a gun, but they don't teach you how to use that knife or gun first, leave the school. Why? Because if you don't understand how that weapon is used, how that tool is used, because that's all a weapon is a tool, right? The gun doesn't care who it shoots. The knife doesn't care who it stabs. It's the person behind it, wielding it. That's who you've got to deal with. So all of these tools are tools. If you're a good person, you'll use them for good. If you're a not so good person, you should log off the webinar because I don't want to teach you, right? But there are people out there, and there's lots of highly paid, highly funded 3-letter agencies out there doing this stuff to you every moment of every single day. And if you don't have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you are going to become a target and a victim of these skills. So my job is to take you off the menu, but I can only do that if you follow the instructions and do what I need you to do to be safe. Does that make sense? Is that clarify things? Because, well, what does all this have to do with protecting myself from manipulation? Everything, right? I need to teach you how to get the things you want without crossing the Jedi line into the Sith territory, right? But I also need you to be able to do both sides, right? I have to teach you how to use these things before I can teach you how to protect against them. Because if you can't perceive it, this was something that one of my more colorful mentors, Dr. John LaTourette, taught me, was that if it's not inside of you, you aren't going to perceive it. Okay? If you own these tools and these techniques, when somebody uses them at you or in your presence, you have a far greater likelihood of detecting it and raising your shields, so to speak, than if you don't. Anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. And that's what I want you to really, if you have to put a big heading under this section, anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. We good? Type yes if you got it. Perfect. All right. Matthew says yes. Good. Okay. Now, So that's the universal persuasion protocol. Okay. If you took a screenshot, good. If not, circle back. Now, here's the next piece. What would it be like if you could literally have people salivating and hanging on your every word? What if, well, let me ask you a different question, because this is one that always comes up. How many people here would consider themselves an introvert? Just type me in the chat if that's true. Okay. All right. Extrovert, that's cool. Excellent. How many people here hate small talk? Anybody? Completely me, right? So what if there was a way that you could walk up to just about anyone, even a complete stranger, ask a couple of questions, and for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes, hour, 3 hours, whatever, 80% of the talking came out of their mouth and you didn't have to say anything cute, funny, or clever. And they came away thinking you were the most fascinating, enthralling brother from another mother, sister from another mister person on the planet. Would that be useful? Yes or yes? Well, we're getting to 3 magic questions, Chris. But what we're actually talking about, what if you could walk up to somebody and have them have their undivided attention on you and think you're the most fascinating conversationalist they've ever met, right? What if there was one simple language tactic that would allow you to do that, right? And that's what we're going to talk about next. This is called the echo technique, okay? The echo technique. Oh, he's teaching that again? Yeah, I'm teaching that again because people don't get it. People don't understand just how powerful this stupid thing is. And I just proved it again. I was invited. My good friend Chase Hughes invited me to teach his mastery group. First time I've ever done it. I taught. It was scheduled to go for an hour. I taught for 2 hours. I taught them the echo technique and tasked them to go out and just test it and see what happens. And the reports started coming in this morning. Free servers and waiters just spending ridiculous amounts of time talking to them, sharing the most intimate details of their life with just a few simple things. So the most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the ones that just came out of their mouth. Okay? When you use the echo technique, you literally force a person's neurology to pay attention to you to the exclusion of everything else. Now, remember, guys, attention is the currency of relationships. Some of you were talking about a book called The Celestine Prophecy in the chat. Well, one of the things that they talk about in the Celestine Prophecy is what you focus on and what you find beautiful builds energy. How do you focus on something? You put your attention on it. Attention is energy. So anywhere attention goes, energy flows. When you use the echo technique, this is important for you energy people. When you use the echo technique, it literally forces a person's nervous system to exclusively pay attention to you and nothing else, which means their energy field opens up, their mind opens up, their body will start to open up. And you can, if for those of you who do any kind of energy work therapeutically or what have you, this is solid gold, because the moment they open, their armor goes away and you can do better healings and they'll like you more. Okay. It will automatically create openness, which levers up suggestibility. So they'll be more compliant to the things you ask them to do. It completely eliminates the problem of small talk and eliminating boring conversations. These people will talk to you for literally hours. You have to say barely anything original or snarky or witty or whatever, and they will think you're one of the most fascinating people they've ever met, right? The best part is it sends powerful signals of sameness to this person. So what happens when you start sending signals of sameness, you start amping up affinity. Remember, affinity was one of the four pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence. So this person starts to think, oh, they're just like me. They get me. They understand me. And they have this massive endorphin release. Oxytocin dumps, dopamine, you name it, because they very seldom met people who resonate with them like you're resonating with them. It will cause them to become progressively more connected and what? Attracted and positively disposed to you. So this, not only does it actually ramp up affinity, it ramps up attractivity. Right? There's another one of your pillars. What also happens is when people do this, and you do this effectively with other people, they feel heard. They feel understood, right? How many people here have ever been in a situation where you had to express your feelings to a group of people and you weren't sure that they would agree with you? And then when you expressed yourself, they were all behind you 100%. Like they were all on board with what you said. How did you feel in that moment? How did you feel in that moment? Amazing? Proud? Why? Because you received validation. You received that affirmation from the group that you were approved of. When you do this with another human being, they feel like that feeling you just had. Now, the only way that could have happened, by the way, in your group situation, is if you felt in some way that that group was a higher authority than you. True, not true? True, not true? Makes sense, right? When you do the echo technique with the person for a long enough period of time, they feel validated. They feel like they're approved of. Now, where did that approval come from? Perception, from their perspective. Where did it come from? Shit, he's asking us questions. He's making me think. So Adam says raises social proof. That's right. Your social status in their world goes up, which means not only have you amped up affinity, not only have you amped up attractivity, you've also amped up authority. You just nailed 3 of the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence. So anything you do that's based in the echo technique will move their level of compliance and desire to obey higher and higher and higher. Now, that we're not even going to stop there. Jesse Bata says, I did it today with a patient. She told me her beliefs to the core. Perfect. Perfect segue. The best part about this from a neurolinguistic perspective, guys, is that it matches every internal filter that they have, right? One technique hits every single filter that NLP wants you to target individually, okay? So how do you do this? It's very simple. You use as close to verbatim all the words that come out of their mouth as close to verbatim as possible when you respond to them. I'm going to demo it for you in a minute. So if they said, did you know the dog was brown? You can say that in the form of a statement. You can say that in the form of a comment, a question. You can say that in the form of a command, or you can use fragments. Okay. This is, again, we'll teach you how to do this in Killer Influence and NLP Ultra and Defense Against the Dark Arts. But for right now, just use as many of their words that came out of their mouth in the order and sequence as it came out, and you'll be cooking with gas. So what does this sound like in application? Right? What does this sound like when we do it? So for many years, I was a martial artist. Obviously, I told you for many years, I was a professional martial artist. I've been kind of semi-retired now for about 5-6 years. I'm thinking about maybe picking up the sword again, so to speak, and getting back into it. But right now, I'm mostly a couch potato, and I'm shaped like one. But because of my influence skills, I still get things done. But this is kind of what it sounds like when I had my school in Coral Springs, and it sounds like this when a lot of my admins like Mia and Moss answer the phone and start working with people on which programs they want, right? Because ring ring, good afternoon, Coral Springs Martial Arts Academy. This is David. How can I help you? Oh, hey David. My name's Brenda, and I saw your sign, and I was interested in maybe getting karate lessons for my 10-year-old son Josh. Can you help me? Hey Bernice, how you doing? So you saw our sign and you're interested in maybe getting karate lessons for your 10-year-old son Josh? Yeah. Can you help me? Yeah, of course I can help you. So tell me, just so I understand you better, Bernice, what's important to you about karate lessons for Josh? Well, David, that's a really good question. Well, first and foremost, I'd always heard that the martial arts was a great way for kids to learn how to protect themselves and develop focus and concentration and confidence. And I thought that might be good for Josh because Josh is a really sweet kid, but he's small for his age. And he's so smart, in fact, that his teachers moved him up a grade. And I'm worried that the big kids might pick on him. And I heard martial arts could really kind of help him with his confidence and his focus, his concentration, and to protect himself. Oh, I see. So you heard that martial arts was good for confidence and focus and self-defense. And you heard, and Josh, who's a little small for his age, is smart. He was so smart, in fact, that his teachers moved him up a grade. And you're worried that because he's small, the kids might pick on him a little bit. And you heard the martial arts was good for developing concentration, focus, and confidence, as well as protecting from bullies. Is that right? Yeah, David, that's exactly it. Can you help me? Absolutely, Bernice. You see, for centuries, the martial arts has been one of the best ways for kids just like Josh, who are small, maybe not great athletically, or just small for their age, to develop the confidence, the focus, the concentration, and the ability to protect themselves against bigger people, more athletic people. And so it's a perfect vehicle. It's a perfect tool for Josh to develop that focus, that concentration, and to be able to protect himself from those bullies. So I'm curious, just so I understand and make sure that I can give you the best service possible, Bernice. If you were to give, if you, when you enroll Josh and he gets that confidence and that focus and that concentration and the ability to protect himself from bullies, I'm curious, what's that going to do for you? What's important about that? Well, honestly, I think I just have more peace of mind. I know Josh is okay. He's going to be able to take care of himself. He's going to be able to really, level up and be the best version of himself. And I just really think that would take a tremendous load off my mind, knowing he's got what he needs to really thrive in that environment. Bernice, I can't help but completely agree with that. One of the things that happens as a byproduct of martial arts training is that people often level up their confidence, they level up their focus, their concentration, they develop the ability to protect themselves. And so that no matter where they go in life, they can really level up and become that best version of themselves. And I think one of the things you'll really enjoy as you see that process happening in Josh, the peace of mind it's going to give you, because you can recognize that he's okay, that he's got the tools he needs to be his best version of himself in exactly the way you've always wanted. And you'll enjoy the peace of mind that comes with knowing that. So I'm excited for you and Josh to get started. So here's what I've got going on. I've got two programs that we run as introductories. One is a 2 private lesson, 1 group class, comes with a free t-shirt. We have an opening available for that program today at 5:30. And I have a slightly different program, which is 2 group lessons and 1 private class, also comes with a free t-shirt for the same price. But that's tomorrow at 6:15. Which one of those do you think is going to work best for you? I think tomorrow at 6:15. That way I can make sure he's got his homework done, he's had his dinner, so he can come in with a clear head. Fantastic, Bernice. So Josh will have his homework done, he'll have his dinner, he'll come in with a clear head. I'll pencil you guys in for tomorrow at 6:15. Do you have any other questions before I take down your information and we get you locked in? No, I'm good. What do you need from me? Blah, 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 blah. End of conversation. Crystal's asking, can you use synonyms when you use this technique, or is it best to use their own phrasing? Crystal, that is an amazing question, one that's going to piss off a lot of neuro-linguistic programmers. If the words didn't come out of their mouth, don't use them. Do not substitute words. NLP and classical NLP, they're big on word substitution. I'm telling you right now, the minute you start trying to substitute words or paraphrase or active listen, you're going to start to lose them. You're going to, because what happens is when the words come out of their mouth, there are certain brain parts of the brain and certain cortical circuits that are firing. If anytime you deviate from the exact words they use, you start activating other cortical connections and turning off others. When the words come out of somebody's mouth, they're a direct connection to an indirect connection to all the files and human experiences that they're not talking about, and the emotional values that are at a deeper level. The moment you use a different word, you start firing a different set of neurological connections. There may be some overlap, but they're not exactly the same. So the idea here is to make your persuasion skills as absolutely bulletproof as possible while laying the foundation for more advanced techniques, right? Because if the fundamentals don't work for you, then the advanced techniques won't either, because the advanced techniques are based on the fundamentals. So echo technique, especially when you're a fledgling, and I don't use that light, because our baby stuff is more advanced than most people's advanced stuff. Okay, it's the difference that makes the difference. So the reason I love this technique is because it takes what would have required 6 or 7 different processes in NLP. I can do it with one. And you remember the control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage their state, jump into their process, bond to their values. It activates, stimulates, and creates 5 of those levels. This one technique hits 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6 of the CPI model. You understand why this is so important. It's your first language technique. It's your first rapport technique. It's your first state management technique. It's your first process technique. And it's your first emotional bonding technique. Okay? One technique, 5 levels. And then it just gets deeper. You see why I keep coming back to this? Does that make sense? Why this is so important? If you learn nothing else from this webinar, you've just upped your conversion rates across the board by a significant amount. Okay, but I know it's natural for people who want to speak things in their own words. This is especially one you got to watch out for. So what I'm hearing you say is, don't do that. Do not do that. Right? I know it's a very common thing, but if you want to activate a person's neurology to the greatest degree possible in the direction you want them to go, or you want to neutralize animosity, their exact words will do it better and faster. Okay? Now, from a self-defense perspective, when you find somebody who's actually reflecting your own words back to you, which, by the way, is extremely difficult to resist or detect if the person's doing it well, right? But when you hear somebody doing that and you don't know them, that's gonna be one of the first things that should pop up into your awareness. This person is using the echo technique. Why are they using the echo technique? What's their agenda? Right? Now, when we use the echo technique, I teach the agenda that you should have when you're using it. And here it is. If you follow what I'm about to tell you and you have good ethics, you will never have to worry about getting caught using the echo technique. In fact, getting caught will only make the person like you more. Would that be helpful and useful? Yes or yes? Okay, here it is. If you can move through the world with operating from a sincere desire to connect and communicate and signal that you're just like me and I'm just like you to this person, right? You can correctly come from that place. then even when they catch you using the echo technique, all you have to do is look at them and say, I do this because I want you to have the feeling so I can understand you better and let you know that I understand you. Is that okay? Now, if that person says no, you've got bigger problems. Does that make sense? Right? Because what person who is operating from a sincere desire to be heard and understood is going to object to being understood? The answer is nobody. Nobody who doesn't have an agenda that they're hiding behind, if that makes any kind of sense. So that's where we go with this. Okay, we move through the world emanating sincere, authentic curiosity and a desire to communicate with people. And if in the rare circumstances when people catch us, that's all we have to say, right? That's all we have to say. The other part is don't stop doing it just because you get caught. This is another big chestnut from the classical NLP world. If you get caught using rapport techniques and you keep doing it, it's going to piss them off. It's not true. It only pisses them off if you stop doing it. Why? Because when somebody calls you on using a rapport technique and you stop doing it, you've just agreed to their interpretation of what you're doing, which is usually negative. Okay? It's usually negative, right? You'll learn more about that in Killer Influence. Okay? Okay, some of you are getting ready to vent. It's okay. Vent away, guys. It's all right. All right. So is this useful? Is this helpful? Yes or yes? Okay. Now, if you were paying attention to the demo I just did, I went right from the echo technique right into the next nuclear powered technique that we're going to talk about. And that's called the emotional bonding checklist. You got how many of you who are not new to Planet David picked up when I transitioned from just the echo technique to the emotional bonding checklist? Just type me in the chat if you picked it up. If you didn't, that's okay. All right. So during my demo, I was talking to Bernice and I said, Bernice, I'm curious about something. If Josh were to get the focus and the confidence and the concentration and the ability to protect himself against bullies, I'm curious. If he had all that and you could perceive it, you saw it, if he was becoming the best version of himself, I'm curious. Bernice, what's important to you about that? Why is that so? What's so important about that for you? And she gave me a list of things. Seeing Josh as his best self, peace of mind. You guys remember that? Right? And what did I do then? What did I do? Shared values, right? She gave me her values. She gave me what she would be feeling, the emotional benefit she would have when she saw Josh having all those things. And that's what she was buying. She wasn't buying focus. She wasn't buying concentration. She wasn't buying confidence. She wasn't buying defending yourself against bullies. She was buying the peace of mind that knowing her son had the tools to be his best self. Now, does that mean we don't talk about focus? No. There's a ladder. There's a hierarchy of values of emotion connected to those words. And if I just use those words, I will stimulate the emotions they're connected to. And that's what people want satisfied. The emotional needs that they have are the most powerful triggers to our behavior that exist. So write this down, because we're going to have this. I'm going to share this experience with you in just a moment. I demonstrated it, but now I want you to feel what this is like, so you feel good about going further with it. All right. So remember this: a person cannot have their values stimulated, elicited, or discussed without feeling immediate emotional pleasure and desire. Conversely, they can't have their values violated, disregarded, or disrespected without experiencing emotional pain. So in that one set of principles, you have everything you need to know about what to do to get anybody attracted to anything you want. You also know exactly how to make people move away from anything you want or leave you alone. So I'll say this again because some people are asking. A person cannot discuss, have elicited, or describe their emotional. In other words, a person is attracted or feels immense pleasure from having their values stimulated, discussed, or elicited. A person feels immense pain when those values are violated in any way, shape, or form, either through words, through actions, or situations. Okay? So people cannot have their values violated without experiencing emotional pain. They cannot have their values stimulated without experiencing emotional desire. Does that make sense? In that, once you understand that, you have the ability to either attract somebody or repel them anytime you want. Real quick on this question here. So Pingwu was asking, what if you screwed up already that lost the first impression connection? The fundamental values are so different. Go back to echoing. Go back to echoing their words and ask different questions. Plus, if you understand reframing, you can fix it. Matthew says, I feel like this is finally clicking in for me. Good, good. Everybody has to cycle through this material a certain amount of times before it clicks in. That's why we recommend watching the videos over and over and over and over and over again, as well as coming to the live events and stuff like that. Okay. Every time you go through it, you're going to learn something new. You're going to be ready for the next level because there's a lot of levels to what I'm teaching. Okay. So for this next drill, I want everybody to get out a piece of paper and a pencil. If you haven't done it already, I missed talking about that at the beginning. Duncan McLeod says, hey guys, hit the like button. Yes, please. If you like what's going on, please like and share, right? Please let people know about the resources that you're learning and about what we have to offer. Don't send it to your enemies or your competitors, of course, but we want you guys to have all the advantages, all right? So here's what I want you to do. You guys ready to play? Type in the chat. This is the interactive portion of the webinar, okay? Right? I want you to experience this. Okay. Remember I said at the beginning of tonight's webinar that there were certain things that you wanted to be able to achieve or have or do or experience as a byproduct from tonight's webinar. True or not true? Type it in the chat. True or not true? Okay, perfect. I want you to write that at the top of your page. It's better if you can physically handwrite them on a pad of paper, but if you have to type, well, we'll work with it. Okay. Now, just like I talked when I talked to Bernice, I'm going to ask you a question. Write down what that was, and if you were to have that, in other words, you got the tools as a byproduct from tonight's training to have that in your life, to experience that for yourself. Okay. Under what you just wrote, write down what's important about that. In other words, you got that thing for the byproduct from tonight's webinar, and it manifested for you, and now it allows you to feel what, to have what, to experience what. So for example, if one of the things a lot of people talked about tonight was making more money. So let's say you got things like the echo technique and what we're doing right now, the emotional bonding checklist, right? And you learned how to use that to make more money. And now all of a sudden you're making more money. What's that going to do for you? What's important about that? Some people, it might be, I can pay all my bills. For some people, it might be, I can buy my new car. For some people, it might be, I can start my new business, right? Whatever that is. Once you've got what's it going to do for me? this, what's important about that. Now that might be, the next level might be, well, if I could start my own business, I'd have more freedom and joy, right? Okay, freedom and joy, perfect. It might, if it's security, it might be, or if it's start my own business, it might be security, right? Making more money, paying my bills, might be security. So you notice how there's a hierarchy to what we're doing. I want to show you the screen in a minute, but I want you to follow the process. So let me show you really quick. Emotional bonding. Okay. So on your paper, it should look something. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, emotional motivation checklist. All right, here we go. So this is basically what I just walked you through. So what do you want as a byproduct of tonight's training? You write that out. Ask what's it going to do for you. Pay attention to the exact words that come up. Okay. Write that answer out. And then what's important about having that? So whatever you answered here, what's important about that to you? Write your answer. Right. And then ask that question again. Now you've got it here, right? What's important about that? Write your answer. And ultimately, if you got this, and you got this, and you got this, ultimately, what's that going to allow you to experience? Okay, so I'll let you guys take a screenshot of that. We'll talk about softening later. That's a force multiplier. We won't deal with that. So this is where I want you guys to really focus on for this piece right here, right? Can you guys see it okay? And when you've written out the answers, type done in the chat and we'll continue with the next part of the drill. You guys are really deep in thought. Okay, Callum's done. Sean is done. Excellent. All right. So I'm going to jump out of screen share. Marianne's done. Excellent. All right. So here's how this works. Piece of paper. Well, this will do. Okay. So now, ideally, on your piece of paper, you've got what I want to get as a byproduct of tonight's webinar, what I want to be able to experience, what's important about that, what's important about that, what's important about that, what's important about that. You should have at least 3 or 4 answers to those questions. Here's the secret to this. Whatever your unconscious mind answers when you ask yourself that question, write it down verbatim. Don't try to analyze it or edit it or say, oh, that can't be right. Whatever your unconscious mind gives you is its real motivators. Okay? Just because you don't understand it consciously doesn't mean it's not operational for you. This is a big deal. In any form of influence, we have what we call the 6 dynamics of an unconscious response. Your unconscious mind always answers first, many times non-verbally. It always answers honestly. It always feels like you're making it up. You always have an urge to edit what just came up. It's never loud. It's never linear. The one thing that I want you to be very, very aware of in all the precision techniques that we're teaching is whatever comes up first is almost always the most accurate from an unconscious mind's perspective. And it's what your unconscious holds to be true for you. Okay? So trust your unconscious. Okay? And you'll get what you want faster than ever before. Okay? So now, what we're going to do is we're going to hold this up at about a 45-degree angle. And you might want to make sure your door is closed and you're not going to be disturbed by pets. All I want you to do is look at that list that you've made, and I want you to read only the answers. First of all, before you do that, check in with how you feel right now. Check in with your body. Notice the state you're in. Notice the body sensations you're having, how you're standing, your emotional state. Hold this up at about a 45, and I want you to verbalize. I want you to read that entire list out loud 5 times. You can do more, but I don't want you to do any less than 5 times. Read them out loud 5 times, and then type in the chat what you experienced when you read them out loud. Okay, Crystal says her stomach sort of clenched. Okay. Lamar says first impression. Lamar says feel powerful. Okay. Scale. Okay. I mean, anybody else? Come on. I know there's more people out there. Tense because you just had a guy argue with me. Okay. Remind me in part 3. I'll show you how to get rid of that shit. Pingwu to know what I want to ask. Okay. Do you feel better than when you started? Tingling sensation in shoulders and neck. I feel more expansive, right? Are these things you want more of or less of? Got stronger? More? Excellent. All right. So you guys remember, I'm excited and energized. Now, here's my question for you. Scale of 1 to 10. Rate the intensity of the good feelings. 10? 10? 7? Good. That's fine. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate your desire for those feelings. I don't usually ask this question. Scale of 1 to 10, rate the... Really? Really? 26. Why so much? Why do you want that so much? Why didn't you rate it less? Because you associate it with success. The more the better. Okay, excellent. You feel you deserve it. Absolutely. So that being said, are you guys ready for part 2, or I show you how to level this up? By the way, do you think that might be a good feeling to give to all of your prospective clients? Your lovers? Your family? Your team? You ready to learn how to get it? All right. Then with your permission, I'd like to share something with you, right? With your permission, I'd like to talk about the Unlimited Influence Ultra Persuasion Mastery Home Study Course. This is a set of programs that I developed many years ago, and we make them available to you for a super, super awesome investment every now and then. The Secrets of Human Influence is all about helping you take your life to the next level. It's about making more money, closing more deals, getting more dates, helping more people. And I know a lot of you really want to make a difference in the world. There is nothing out there that will level you up in your ability to do that than the skills and the trainings I'm about to share with you. Okay. And it's going to allow you to become more powerful. It's going to feel more confident. If you're going to win the game of life more often than you won't. In fact, if you're tired of hearing no and you want to become more charming and charismatic, irresistible, and so forth, this is the fast track to getting all of that and so much more. Okay. So this offer is good until April 22nd, 2024. That's today, 11:59 p.m. tonight. I recommend this for first-time buyers especially. And here's what it's going to do for you. First and foremost, you're going to get a 17-video program, which is going to include the 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. You're going to receive very specialized, very in-depth training on each of the stages that I walked you through at the beginning of today's webinar. You're going to learn how to think like a master of human influence. You're going to learn how to control your state, how to get rapport, how to use your language, how to manage the states of the subject, how to jump into their process, how to bond to their emotions. So step by step, we're going to walk you through in a very easy, systematic way how to think like a master of influence. It's a $297 value. We're going to teach you how to control your own emotional states so no one else can do it for you. For those of you who are into energy, this is going to make you very, very, very bulletproof. It's really, really powerful. Okay, it's a $297 value. As you can think of all the ways you can use it, you'll see the value go up. We're going to teach you power rapport skills for connecting with anyone, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. We've tested these things in some of the most aggressive and hostile environments you can imagine. Not only are we going to teach you how to connect with anybody, anytime, anywhere, we're going to teach you how to bridge that connection so that you can actually transfer feelings and emotions to other people so they start seeing the world through the eyes you want them to see the world through, so they become more and more predisposed to doing what you want them to do. I want to teach you 7 of the most irresistible neurologically active language patterns that exist. These are language patterns that are so primary and fundamental to the way your brain works that you can't hear them without them changing how you think, and you can't communicate without using them. And that means that anytime you listen to somebody's communication, you will know exactly the way they're thinking and how to match what they're doing so that you can get them to eagerly want to do what you want them to do. But on top of all that, what if you had the following superpowers? What if you had a magical ability to literally direct a person's focus of attention to exactly what you want them to pay attention to and ignore everything else? Think about what you could do with this, with a superpower like that. What if you could cause somebody to literally, what if you could literally split a person's conscious mind and unconscious mind and tell their unconscious mind to directly do things automatically? That's language pattern number 1. All those things were in language pattern number 1. What if you had the ability to make anything you want seem to cause anything you want in the minds of your listener, even if those things had absolutely nothing in common in real life? What could you do with a superpower like that? What if you had the ability to make anything you want mean anything you want in the minds of your listener, even if those things had absolutely nothing in common? What if you could make somebody imagine exactly what you wanted them to imagine with 0% chance of resistance or mistranslation and have them think it was their idea? That's what the 4th language pattern does. Okay, and that's just 4. I'll surprise you with the other 3. Right? We're going to teach you how to systematically manage and influence the emotional states of other people so you can get them out of their limiting trances and limiting beliefs and traumas and things like that, if that's what you're inspired to do, and move them into states that are more healthy and resourceful and positive and desirable. Okay? We're going to teach you how to literally hijack a person's internal processes. So one of the things you'll learn about are what we call strategies, which is something from the NLP world. You'll also learn about evolutionary scripts, life scripts, and personal anchors and transwords. You will learn how to spot those patterns in people and how to utilize them so that people want to do the things you want them to do and feel good about it. Okay. And then finally, we're going to teach you how to bond emotionally to anybody's desires and have it and link it to what you want them to do so that they eagerly do what you ask them to do because it satisfies their own needs and desires, and they feel wonderful and love you for the opportunity to do that, all without ever having to lie, cheat, steal, coerce, or manipulate people in an unethical way ever. Okay. We're also going to include the original Killer Influence Manual, which includes training on spatial hypnotic operators. This is how you actually can begin to use the spatial relationships around people that will cause them to think about you more positively, or how to sit, where to sit at a conference table or a meeting or a negotiation so that you're automatically given more deference, authority, and compliance. Where to put your enemies or the people who oppose your point of view so that they have a weakened position so that when they try to stop you from moving your agenda forward, they're coming from the most strategically weak position possible. We're going to teach you about social hypnotic operators. Social hypnotic operators are things that society has programmed into you. Go to the minute you hit things like scarcity, reciprocity, liking, commitment, and consistency. These are buttons that are hardwired into every normally socialized human being around the world. And if certain triggers are pressed, your behaviors become automatic. You're going to learn what the most powerful triggers are, how they're used, how you can ethically use them. But most importantly, you're going to learn how to protect yourself when other people try to use these things on you. It's one of the most important manual or modules in the training. You're going to learn instant speed profiling, how to look at somebody and start to create a personality profile of them that you can use to influence them or avoid being manipulated by them in as little as 90 seconds. It'll include training on face reading as well as cold reading. It'll include what we call meta programs, which are a different kind of filter that allow you to understand how people process information or make decisions, so you can change how you present your information or your message to them so they consume it and process it in the way that's easiest for them to do what you want them to do. And a whole lot more. There's actually quite a few more pages, quite a few more modules in the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. We're going to include this with you. It's a $418 value. And the total value on that, plus we'll talk about the access to the online community in just a moment. Total value on this is $2,497. But because it's a package, we wanted to make sure that you absolutely had the best training for you. So we're also going to include, if you grab your course right now, you're also going to get the following special bonuses. And that's, the first one is our flagship #1 training program in the world, Defense Against the Dark Arts, Counter Manipulation and Hypnotic Influence and Behavioral Profiling Secrets. This is a program that pulls back the curtain on how people hack the techniques of influence to bypass your critical faculty, tap into your emotional needs and fears, and use those to make you make decisions that are not going to make your life better, and they walk away with all your stuff. We're going to show you how those things work. You'll be able to flag and profile narcissists, Machiavellians, dark triads, sociopaths. You'll be able to look at somebody's social media and create a personality profile on them by focusing on their focus when you're with them, their lifestyles, their associations, their groups. You'll learn about the conversational and behavioral red flags that all character disturbed individuals, from con artists and grifters to sociopaths and textbook narcissists, utilize to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. But not only that, you'll also learn how to profile, how to detect lies, how to know what to do in order to find out if someone has a high probability of being deceitful, how to protect yourself from falling victim to these very, very adept manipulators. We'll talk about predator psychology. We'll talk about how these people select victims. We'll talk about the 5-stage predator process that the people use to create very, very imbalanced power dynamics, and how you can put a dead stop halt to all of that with just a few simple basic exercises. Not only that, we're going to teach you the art of radical reframing. Now notice I have a program called Renegade Reframing. This is a little bit different. In radical reframing, what you're going to be doing is you're going to actually start to learn how narcissists and character disturbed individuals think, and reframe attempts at holding them responsible. So you're going to get an experience of what it's like to be those people, so you can get inside their head and turn the tables on them whenever you experience it. We're going to teach you about micro expressions, okay, and a lot more. There's a huge amount in this course on top of the classic influence techniques that Killer Influence is famous for. Okay, so this is something that if you're really serious about not being a victim, if you want to learn how cults indoctrinate people and brainwash them, this is the course that you want to have on your shelf and playing in your head when you're moving through the world, trying to become the best version of yourself, to keep other people from taking your stuff, from hurting yourself or the people you love. Okay, this is one of the most important courses I've ever created, and it will change everything for you. Okay, if you're tired of being manipulated, abused, what have you, then this is something that I think is a game changer. Now, I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. And don't get this course if you're someone who just likes to collect information but doesn't want to do anything with it. The information in this course is solid gold, and it will change your life and it will keep you safe, but only if you have the will to use it. Okay. And that's the secret. You've got to be willing to act on the information and train the information that goes with this. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you 100% free. Combined value, if you look at the Secrets of You and Influence Home Study course and the Defense Against the Dark Arts program, is $4,494. But we're not done yet. If you click your link right now, or I registered before the end of the webinar, we're also going to include one of the most powerful courses and one of the most fun courses, honestly, that I've ever taught. This is called Renegade Reframing: How to Overcome Any Objection or Change Any Belief in Seconds. There was a question asked earlier: what if you screwed up the first part and you messed up your rapport, you didn't get their values? I don't know if you guys remember that question being asked. This is what you do next. This is like the oh shit moment. What if for every objection, every argument, every insult, or limiting belief you've ever encountered, you had at least 14 different ways to completely change that belief and install a new way of thinking? What could you do with 14 responses to any problem that somebody threw at you? How would that change your life? What could you do with that? Think about it for a moment. Okay. This program is actually one of the most fun ones that I've ever created. It was based on a set of patterns from neurolinguistic programming known as sleight of mouth. And these are the patterns that Richard Bandler would routinely use to pummel his master practitioners anytime they tried to meta-model him or attack his belief systems. So this was how you turn the tides on narcissists, grifters, anybody who's a conversational manipulator who gaslights you or tries to press your insecurities or whatever. This is the way you turn the tables on them. This comes with an actual card game inside the manual, as well as templatized language patterns that you can use to create your own reframe patterns. It's a lot of fun. We actually thought about turning this into a drinking game, right? Anyway, this is a $1,997 value. It's yours absolutely free. Total combined value is $6,491, but we're not done yet. Okay. Charisma and conversation. How many of you are in the business of influencing more than one human at a time? Or maybe in a situation where you have to influence more than one human at a time? If so, you're going to want to pay attention to this, because this next course is CPI level 4 in the world according to David. It's called Charisma and Conversion: Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Presenters and Public Speakers. If you want to be the best teacher humanly possible, if you've ever wondered how guys like Tony Robbins, T. Harv Eker, Mark Victor Hansen, Lisa Sasevich, Robert Allen, I'm trying to think of other people that I know do use this, Richard Bandler, get people stampeding to the back of their room to buy their coaching program, to level up their lives, right? This is the course that pulls back the curtain on that. You see, a lot of these people have different levels to the people in their organization, and they have and a lot of these people have trainers trainings, and they'll teach you about how to present the material and where to advertise and things like that. But what they won't tell you is that there's a system behind the system. This is not a course that's going to teach you NLP. This is going to teach you what NLP looks like when it's used from the stage to install things in people, to program large amounts of people or audiences to learn faster or to take more actions. Okay, it has 2 maps of persuasion architecture. In other words, you have one map that teaches you how to create talks for small groups, like up to about 19 or 20 people, with about a 20-25% conversion rate, maybe a little bit higher. And you'll have a group, you'll have a diagram, a persuasion diagram for creating talks designed to influence groups of 200, 300, 400 people and higher, with a 25 to 35% conversion rate if you suck. Okay. You'll learn about all the different ways that people use stories and embedded commands and proxemic hypnotic operators and things of that nature to program people to go to the back of the room. So if you're interested in learning how to become a speaker, become a presenter, and all of these things work really, really well in social media as well. So again, you'll also get my David's personal meetup model, how I use meetup.com and YouTube to build my business to the point where I had a 6-month waiting list of people screaming to work with me. And even when I raised my prices, it just made the list longer. We'll talk about persuasion architecture. We'll talk about basic stagecraft. We'll talk about sound systems. We'll talk about what you need and what you don't need. We'll talk about the 5 Ps of hypnotic presentation: positioning yourself, positioning your audience, positioning your talk, positioning your topic, positioning your offer, how to create the offers that you need from the outcome to the intro, right? How to be perceived as authentic and credible as a real human being. These are all things that are high value skills today, right? It's all a part of this amazing training. Okay. So $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you free, but it presupposes you have training in killer influence. It presupposes you have training in some version of the CPI model. But so if you're interested in working on large groups of people, this is your next step. Okay. Total value is $8,488. We're going to give this to you absolutely free if you register before the end of the webinar. Okay. So let's just review what we've got here for you guys. You're going to get, as part of your Secrets of Human Influence home study course package, you're going to get the 17 video, 7-stage universal persuasion call videos, plus all the other bonuses I mentioned. You'll get the Killer Influence Mind Control Mastery manual. It's a $418 value. You're going to get the Killer Influence Defense Against the Dark Arts Special Edition, Counter Manipulation, Influence, and Behavioral Profiling Secrets. It's a $1,997 value. You're going to get bonus number 2, Renegade Reframing, how to instantly overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you free. And of course, you're going to get Charisma and Conversion, hypnotic presentation skills for speakers and presenters. It's it's an amazingly powerful set of trainings that you get. Each one amplifies the other trainings. Total value is $8,488. However, I want you guys to have a leg up. I want you guys to be able to really make some serious inroads in your life. So I'm going to give you the best deal I can give you today. So I'm not going to charge $8,488. I'm not going to ask you to pay $6,481. I'm not going to demand that you pay $53.47. I'm not even going to demand that you pay $33.47. In fact, we're not even going to do it at regular price. For those of you who really want to level up, who want to work with me and have me as your mentor and your guide, to have the support you need to get the life you want the way that you want it, to never hear no again, and be safe and protect yourself, you can get it all for a low one-time investment of just $997. Think about that for a moment. One installment of just $997 gets you everything I've described and so much more. I haven't even begun to exhaust all the things we're going to be teaching you in those programs. If you want to, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Click the link, www.killerinfluence.com/GO. One more time with feeling. Click the link right now. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Operators are standing by. Now, before I go any further, if you call, and I think Mia and Moss just put there's customer service lines up there. If you call and you get voicemail, because this is when the stampede starts, please, please, please make sure after you click the link, you leave your name and number and your contact and the time you called. If you call and you get our voicemail, but you don't leave your contact information, you will not qualify for any of the bonuses that I'm about to talk about shortly. Let me be very clear. If we don't have your contact information before 11:59 p.m. tonight, if you call us tomorrow, you won't get any fast action bonuses or anything else. Okay. But if you're in our system, if we have your contact information, you will qualify. Okay. So all you do now is click your link, www.killerinfluence.com/go. Click it right now and make sure that you've reserved your course. Now, for those of you on the fence saying, well, David, this sounds really good, but how do I know it'll work for me? I promise it'll work for you. I double dog dare you. All right. Take this program, click the link, take the program, test our course for a full 60 days. If by the end of 60 days, you're not on the fast track to making more money, closing more deals, and that deal could be a job interview, it could be booking more clients, it could be more dates, it could be getting more compliance from your team, getting better treatment from your spouse or your boss. If you're not on your way to becoming more financially free and independent, feeling more secure, confident, and powerful, I will refund every dime that you've invested in this program. I may ask a couple questions, but I'll still refund you 100%. If you're not satisfied, if this program doesn't deliver to you the way I know it will, because I've used this for decades. I literally went through my entire undergraduate education on writing scholarships because of the material I'm teaching in these courses. Okay, I was named to the Oklahoma All-State Academic Team. I graduated with a 4.0 GPA. I was the only work study in my undergraduate education who had his own office. I was hired by every college that I was ever attended to work in the recruiting department. Right? And this is before I ever decided to teach or create these programs. This was the stuff that I created for me. I know with 100% certainty that this will work for you if you actually take the actions and do the drills. Okay? Test it for a full 60 days. If it's not working, pick up the phone, let Moss or Mia know, and we'll refund every dime of your investment. And you can even keep the courses you've downloaded, just as my way of saying, hey, thanks for trying it out. 100% satisfied. You have nothing to risk, guys, and everything to win. Take the action, click the link. Okay? www.killerinfluence.com/go. Okay? Now, I always believe that the behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated, and that the behavior that gets repeated gets reinforced, and fortune favors the bold. Fortune favors the people who take fast, decisive action, and I want to reward you for that. For those of you who click that link right now and get the entire program for just $9.97. Now, before I go any further, the following bonuses are for first-time buyers, and they go away when I log off the webinar. Everything I've talked to up to this point is available until 11:59 p.m. tonight, April 22nd. The bonuses that come next are only available while I'm actually teaching the webinar. So we're going to finish phase 2. We're going to go right into phase 3 where we customize and talk about specific applications for you. This is your time to shine. When I log off the webinar tonight, the following bonuses go away. Okay? We're going to include a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. This is that community I mentioned earlier. Remember that one of the problems that people have with this material is they don't have anybody to talk to about it. They don't have anybody to practice with. We're going to fix that for you. As a byproduct of the training, we're going to include this fast action bonus. When you click that link right now and you grab your course, we're going to give you three months, 90 days to try out the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group. You're going to log in to your Zoom account, or you're going to come to my facility on the third Saturday of every month from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm going to go around the room and I'm going to ask you, Josh, what do you want to learn? Jason, what do you want to learn? Margaret, what do you want to learn? Leanne, what do you want to learn? Jeff, what do you want to learn? Right? And I'm going to write those things on a board for you. And I'm going to look at everything you guys want to know about. And I'm going to create a lesson plan for you right on the spot. And for the next 5 hours, I'm going to drill you on those skills until you can do them in your sleep. You will not get a certificate from the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. What you will get is a skill set. You will get a skill set that will allow you to actually write your own ticket in this life. And that's what separates the information collectors from the achievers, from the doers, from the people who are actually making things happen. So I talked to you earlier over and over about taking action. Are you a collector? Are you a tourist? or are you someone who's going to change their life? It's up to you. This will help you do it. You will be surrounded by people who want the same things you want, who want to learn about the same things you want to learn about, who will support you and practice with you and give you feedback. And you'll have me and my inner circle of high-level students and training assistants to help make sure that you get the absolute best support for the skills you're learning in your home study courses. This program has been running nonstop since October 2010. That's over almost 13 years that this thing's been going. Okay, we've videotaped and recorded and archived every single training session. And as a member of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, you're going to get unlimited access for the full 90 days to every single video from every single training. Okay, every single training. Now, part of that is archived on the NLP Power website. Part of that is archived on our members only YouTube page. Part of that is archived on our private Facebook archives, right? You'll be able to binge watch content that has never seen the light of day, that's never been featured in a product, that's never been shown on YouTube. This is 100%, almost 100% virgin content that you people have specifically asked for behind closed doors. Everything from remote viewing to remote influence, energetics, energy psychology, face reading, energy building, profiling, regression, accelerated learning, enhanced memory, trauma resolution, law of attraction, behavioral profiling, body language, attraction and dating skills. If it has to do with mind, body, energy, spirituality, or human self-actualization, it's in there. Okay, you'll be able to binge watch it for a full 90 days. If at the end of 90 days you want to stay, well, let us know. We'll show you how to extend your membership. If after 90 days you got what you needed, decide you're going to go and do things on your own, no harm, no foul. You just go off into the world and practice your skills. And when you're ready, come on back. Total combined value of everything we've talked about so far is $10,085, but we're not done yet. I'm going to talk about fast action bonus number 2. This is for people who want to get a super fast start. This is for people who want to watch a couple videos today, start hypnotizing people tonight or tomorrow, depending on how fast you go through the videos. This is our Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis crash course. This was a course I developed several years ago, and it's designed as a fast start, no holds barred. This is exactly what you need, and no fluff approach. It's got at least 12. You only need to watch 2 videos to be ready. But it also has videos on the most powerful hypnotic language patterns, emotional bonding checklist, the 3 magic questions protocol, which allows you to create powerful connections and trust and bond with people, bordering on love in as little as 20 minutes. It's got a course on instant and rapid hypnosis inductions. It's got a home video course called Instant Influence, where I'm actually teaching the 7 most powerful language patterns live. It comes with manuals, transcripts, MP3s, so you can listen and learn while you're driving. It's a powerful, powerful program, and it's designed for people who want to learn how to hypnotize tonight so they can start hypnotizing and influencing people tomorrow. It's a $997 value. We're going to give this to you free just to help you get a fast start in using the influence tools that we've teased you about so far. It's $11,082 value. We're not done. For the next 21 people, I believe it is, 21 people to register today, you're also going to get this amazingly cool package. Now, remember, the fast action offers are for first-time buyers. We're going to give you a free VIP super ticket to our next Killer Influence 2024 live Secrets of Covert Hypnosis 5-day certification bootcamp, August 6th through the 10th, 2024, right here in San Diego. It's a $3,150 value. And during this amazing program, you're going to learn you're going to get a face full of exactly what I talked about at the beginning of the program. Let me just go through some of these bullets for you really, really quickly. First and foremost, we're going to teach you secrets of rock solid state control, how to control your state anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, for any reason. This is the beginning, the building block for those of you who are interested in energetics and want to transition into our vibrational influence training. This is absolutely essential training. We call this the empathic superpower training because it allows you to modulate your vibrational frequency to be whatever you want it to be effective in any situation or circumstance. Then we're going to teach you the power report training that allows you to synchronize with another person's nervous system and energy field, and using your state control, you can begin to cause the other people to vibrate at the frequency that you want them to vibrate, so that their perceptual filters shift and they automatically become more receptive to all of your communications and influence. We're going to teach you how to emotionally bond to any subject's deepest desires and link them to what you want them to do, so they feel utterly compelled to do what you want them to do for their own selfish personal reasons, and they'll thank you for it. They'll love you for it because they're getting everything that they want. Callum's asking if I can't make August 6th to the 10th, will I be able to join the training? Yes. I'm going to talk about the VIP ticket a little bit more in just a moment, after I finish my description of what we're going to be doing in August. You're going to learn in-depth techniques that fall under each of the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence that cause people to need to obey, want to obey, and feel bad when they don't obey. I'm going to teach you how to read people and do cold reading so that people become progressively more open to your influence and become hyper-suggestible to you. We're going to teach you how to, we're going to revisit the secrets of social hypnosis, the secrets of proxemic hypnotic operators, the meta filter system that every human has that you can learn how to tweak and use to your own advantage for the good of all. Attractivity secrets for advanced social dynamics, attraction and dating and romance applications. The simple resistance removal formula that allows you to causes people to create their own reasons for doing what they just told you they didn't want to do. The simple language patterns that literally force a person to hang on your every word. You'll learn about the amazing 3 magic questions protocol that will cause anyone you meet to like, love, and trust you, bordering on love, in as little as 20 minutes. I don't recommend you do it in 20 minutes, but it can take as little as 20 minutes. How to automate any emotional state or behavior in your subject so you can have an almost push-button level of influence on demand. How to communicate directly with a person's subconscious mind without them knowing it during regular conversations, and give them subliminal suggestions that their unconscious mind will process and act upon. How to bind the thoughts of others so that they think the way you want them to think and automatically do the things you want them to do and feel good about it, right? It's all ethical, it's all honest. And the best part is you will learn what's out there and how to protect yourself from it being done to you. Okay? Okay. All right. So that's what we've got coming up. So a couple of more things about the VIP ticket. First and foremost, if, for example, you can't come, the question was asked, what if I can't come to the August 6th to 10th training? Well, that's fine. If for some reason you can't make the training, hold on a second. Am I still on let me share my screen again. If for some reason you can't make the training, all you do is pick up the phone, let Moss or Mia know, and they will move you to the next training. This ticket does not expire until you use it. Okay, so if you get this ticket today and you can't come to a Killer Influence event until 2027, well, if you're in our database, that ticket's good. And the best part is, if the class is full, you'll get in. If the price goes up, you don't pay anything extra. If something happens at the last minute and you can't come, like you were getting ready to come, something comes up at the last minute, well, pick up the phone, we'll move you to the next training. This is yours to keep until you're ready to use it. Let's say you've already had Killer Influence, but you have a friend or a colleague or a family member that you think would really benefit from this Killer Influence VIP ticket, right? You can gift it to them. Now, one thing I do want to caution you about that this is primarily for first-time buyers. If you've used one of our VIP tickets in the past, you can still get this package at a discounted rate. It just won't be the same as for a first-time buyer. So if you're one of those people, if you qualify for that, then just reach out through Mia or Moss at 858-282-4663. Let Moss or Mia know your situation, and we'll show you how to get a great deal, even if you're not a first-time buyer. The other part of that is, a lot of times, if you look at the total value of this, it's a $3,150 value. We're giving this to you absolutely free if you click that link right now before I log off the webinar. When I log off the webinar, this ticket's gone. Okay? When I log off the webinar, Stealth is gone. If I log off the webinar, the mastermind is gone. They're perfectly worth it at full price. Okay, but you can get everything I've talked about. $14,232 of amazing training, including 5 days with me live. Total value is $14,232. All you got to do is click that link to get yours right now. It's just one low installment of just $997. So all you got to do is click your link right now. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Click your link right now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. The person who hesitates meditates in a horizontal position. We don't want that. All right. I want you in the game. I want to teach you. I want to hear your success stories as you apply this material in your life. Just to review, you're going to get the Secrets of Human Influence home study course, $2,497 value. You're going to get Defense Against the Dark Arts, Counter Manipulation and Behavioral Profiling training, $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. You're going to get the Renegade Reframing, Conversational Belief Change and Objection Obliteration home study course, $1,997 value. You're going to get it for free. You're going to get Charisma and Conversion, $1,997 value. You're going to get that for free. You're going to get 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597 value. We're going to give it to you free, guys. Stealth, Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997. We're going to give this to you free. And finally, click that link right now. You're going to get a free VIP ticket to the Killer Influence 5-day Convert Hypnosis Certification Bootcamp. It's a $3,150 value. Absolutely free. Now, some of you may have taken advantage of an offer like this in the past. If you want to take advantage of this offer right now, and you click that link, but you already have some of the courses listed here, you're in luck, because all you have to do is, after you click the link, call Moss or email Mia, let her know that you'd like to substitute something else for one of the courses you already have. As long as the course is of equal or lesser value, we will allow you to substitute that package or substitute that course. So you can customize your own webinar package after you click the link. Just let Moss or Mia know, and they'll happily customize the package for you. But you got to click the link right now. Okay, we're coming into the home stretch. The total value of this, total package value is $14,232. You're going to get every single thing and a whole lot more. I guarantee you're going to be amazed at what you get for just $997, or if you need to, 3 easy installments of just $397 each. As is my tradition, I'm going to give you guys a 6 or 7 minute break to go click the link, get your questions answered, send off the emails, whatever you need to do, grab a drink, and then we're going to come back and we're going to come into part 3 of the webinar, and we're going to customize and apply. So on my intended list was to talk about resistance removal, lie detection, and victimologies. What do the social predators of the world actually look for? But when we get back, if there are other things you guys want to know about more, then I'm happy to change my agenda and teach you more about those things until it's time to end the webinar. So that being said, it is 4:57 my time. So let's take a 7-minute break. We will be back at 6:04, give or take. Click your links right now. Go to killerinfluence.com, reserve your package, save your seats, and let's get on the fast track to getting the life we want the way that we want it. I'll see you in about seven minutes. All right, folks. While we're waiting, if you guys have any questions that I can answer, I am absolutely happy to do that. For those of you in our YouTube world, when would now be a good time to Raj is asking, could you please clarify what you will not get on buying? You will not get the full $997 discount if you're a first-time buyer. There will still be a discounted price. It will just be slightly different for non-first-time buyers versus first-time buyers. All right. If for more clarification and customization, give Moss a call at 858-324663. Mia is already online for you guys, so you can also email Mia at nlppower.com regarding that. All right, it's that time. I'm going to jump out. All right, guys, welcome back. So this is where we get to have some fun. Hopefully, guys, we're having fun already. My question for you now is, what is it that you most want to know about? I gave you kind of what my tentative agenda was, but I want to make sure that this is a customized training for you. I want to make sure that you're getting the most value possible. So I'm going to ask, type in the chat what you most want to learn about over the next 35, 45 minutes of our remaining time together. What would that be? Type it in the chat. Go ahead and do that now. Bueller? It's awful quiet. You guys don't have a clue? All right. Hello? Is everybody there? Type in the chat, guys. What do you want to know about? Or do you want me to just go ahead with the lessons I had planned? Protect from the dark. Okay. Well, I can't cover every single thing in the training, but we can talk about a couple of things. So let's talk first and foremost, fast rapport beyond the echo technique. Okay. Matthew Vito. Okay. All right. Let's talk about one thing that I think is really important, and it was in alignment with what I wanted to share with you guys anyway. You need to understand something that predators are they have a very unique mindset and a very specific skill set. And one of the things that predators all have in common is the ability to spot prey, the ability to select the right target. Okay. Mary wants to know about protection from dark energy. Jax wants to know about what I had planned. Okay, this kind of goes into that way. So what are some things that these people look for? Well, I'll tell you one of the first things that they all look for is your body language. All right. I mentioned him earlier, one of my more colorful martial arts instructors that I learned mostly through video from was a guy named Dr. John LaTourette. And John LaTourette used to say, if you walk around looking like a bologna sandwich, don't be surprised if someone tries to take a bite out of you. And one of the things that predators are going to look for is going to be your posture. They're going to look for your level of social interactiveness. You know, I mean, in other words, are you with a group? Or are you more by yourself? Are you a bit of a loner, right? Do you have a lot of social connections or not? And so I'm going to go ahead and go through a list of conditions, for lack of a better word, that a lot of people have that directly impact your body language and your level of social connectiveness that high-level predators are going to zero in on. We call this victimology. And if you find any of these relevant to you, these are the things that we need to remedy to start taking you off the menu. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, Mary's asking about protection from dark energy. The thing you need to understand about protecting people from dark energy, or protecting yourself from dark energy, is to learn how to preserve and purify and strengthen your own. Okay. I have whole classes devoted to energetics. This is not directly one of them. But one thing I can tell you is that anything that pertains to emotions pertains to energy. Let me say that 2 more times so it sinks in. Anything that influences emotion influences your energy. One more time. Anything that influences your emotion influences your energy. Yes, good emotions can protect you 100%. In fact, I use these emotions many times to transform disease conditions, because when we're talking about emotions, we are talking about energy. But some people don't resonate with that model in this context, right? I got mystic training out the wazoo, energy training out the wazoo, influence training out the wazoo. But people tend to think in blinders. Like most energy people actually are not. If energy is your primary, they actually have a very negative view of influence and persuasion. People who are primarily influence and persuasion driven love energy, right? It's kind of an interesting dichotomy. But either way, one of the things that I can promise you is that if you can check any of the boxes in the list I'm about to go through, then your energy is vulnerable, and so is the rest of you. Okay. And so these are the things that you're going to want to begin to change so that you get off the menu, so that the predators who are going to select the victim don't select you. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So let's look at this. Victimology. Okay, let me just make this a little bit smaller. All right. Victimology. How narcissists, sociopaths, Machiavellians, and mind control cults select their targets. And remember, vulnerability equals suggestibility, especially if you're applying what we call the predator protocol. The predator protocol has 5 distinct phases. Okay. First one is called proactivity. In other words, predators are going to profile you. They know exactly what to look for behaviorally, emotionally, socially, professionally, you name it. And they're going to create an identity that matches your profile. Follow me? We call this phase the proactivity phase. Move this over here. Okay. The irony, hold on a second. This is getting all cattywampus. I don't want cattywampus. I don't want my wampuses to be catty. And that's really small. Okay, I apologize for all the little stuff going on. So the proactivity, they're going to profile you and create an identity for themselves that matches your profile. Then what are they going to do? They're going to put themselves in your path so that when you meet them, you identify with them. We call this the identification phase. In other words, you start to think, oh, they're just like me. Okay, so it's proactivity, identification, credibility. They're going to assume some kind of authority or status position. That'll come from the way they dress, the amount of money they throw around, the clothes the cars they drive, the job titles they hold. Something's going to give them social status or credibility. In other words, they're going to become someone that you trust, that you believe has a right to tell you and give you their opinion. Once they have that, they're going to affirm your beliefs. They're going to support your emotions. And they're going to create an us versus them mindset. Okay? So the next phase of the predator protocol is affirmation. After that is emotional appeal. Now, these can be done in any order, but they are going to act or behave and provide access to experiences that are emotionally appealing. Okay, so if you're a loner little schoolgirl, kind of a little geeky, maybe not the most popular, doesn't have a lot of friends, they're going to show you ways that you can be seen as popular, build your status, get a lot of attention, all the things that you're being denied in your regular life. They're going to provide access to those experiences because they're things you really, really want. It will be very seductive. And during that process, they will affirm your beliefs, your attitudes, they'll support your emotions and create an us versus them mentality. Oh, your parents don't know what they're talking about or whatever. Those other people, they don't have any taste, right? And because they're coming from a place where, oh, this person is kind of like me and they have some kind of social status, you will believe them. And why is that? Because you're getting the thing you want most. Attention, validation, and affirmation. You guys with me so far? Does this kind of track with what your experience has been? Now, here's the problem with this. These things happen with people who are good people too, don't they? Don't a lot of the people that we actually value in our life also kind of do this? That's the problem. That's the problem. You see, the best predators on the planet, really, really good at looking like the good guys. They're really good. Right? And so here's the biggest obstacle to spotting these people. You're not going to want to. Let me say that again. The biggest obstacle to spotting these people, aside from the fact that they're really good at social camouflage, is that you're not going to want to figure out or perceive them as anything other than what they appear to be. Why? Because being with these people makes you feel good. You don't want to destroy that. Most people, when we talk about lie detection, you'll learn about this at Killer Influence. We talk about lie detection. Most people are, well, even the best lie detectors on the planet, the people trained, like the FBI, CIA, they're only about 60% accurate most of the time. And that's after watching the same guy lie multiple times. But a lot of people do detect when something's off, when something's not right. But because the emotional pain is connected with, or the fear of confrontation, a person will accept a lie or not look below the surface or the veneer of what somebody's presenting because they don't want to know the truth. Because if they know the truth, then they have to do something about it. That the pain of finding out this person isn't who they say they are is actually worse for them than believing the lie. This is one of the things you need to understand. There was a book by Malcolm Gladwell, not Blink, but there was one where he talks about getting to the truth, or why we don't believe people, or why we trust people. Outliers. Well, no, it wasn't Outliers. It was a different one. I forget what it was called. But one of the things that you'll learn about is something called the truth bias. We, as a rule, human beings in day-to-day social interaction, automatically give everyone you meet the benefit of the doubt. We don't just automatically assume they're lying. We assume they're telling the truth until proven otherwise, right? And the problem is when you learn actual lie detection, and I actually trained in actual lie detection before I even started studying with Chase. I went to kinetic interview and interrogation training when I was in my undergrad education, when I was trying to decide if I wanted to go into law enforcement and become a criminal profiler and stuff like that. One of the problems that you have when you're an interrogator is you have to go into deception detection mode square, which means you only focus on the things that don't fit. Because the moment you start focusing on all the things that are true, you start overlooking the flags. It's a very different mindset. And it's really important when we're talking about protecting ourselves, because nobody wants to think negatively. Nobody wants to start being ultra security conscious, like beyond a certain level. We don't want to instantly assume everybody's a predator until proven otherwise. It just goes against so much of how we are trained to be good people. But when you want to spot predators, you have to actually flip the script. One of the things you'll learn at Killer Influence when you come, we start teaching you 3 magic questions protocol. 3 magic questions protocol is one of the most powerful connection and attraction techniques out there. It's also one of the most powerful profiling techniques out there, because people will start divulging more and more information, even if it's negative information, and they'll be happy to do it because they feel so safe and comfortable with you. The problem with it is that connection and communication goes both ways. And so if you don't remember to keep the always be testing mindset that we install in you when you're doing this process, you'll just accept whoever's on the other end of that conversation and give them the benefit of the doubt for things that you shouldn't be giving them the benefit of the doubt for. Admit it. Raise your hands. Type that's me in the chat. How many of you have ever dated the same person with a different face? Right? How many of you have ever dated somebody that had potential, wasn't actualizing it just yet, but they had potential, so you gave them the benefit of the doubt? Yes? We don't do that anymore. Okay? Once you've been through Killer Influence training, NLP Ultra training, Defense Against the Dark Arts training, we don't do that. We don't give people the benefit of the doubt anymore. They either pass our tests or they don't. So here's the rule I want you to write down. And it's something I really need you to embrace. Always be testing. Let me say that 2 more times. Always be testing. Right? There was a saying I was looking at, an old saying says, one day a little shepherd boy was talking to his father. He says, "Father, do you believe in God?" He goes, "Yes." "Do you believe God watches over us?" He goes, "Yes." "So then, should I just tie up my camel, or should I believe in God?" He goes, "Believe in God and tie up your camel." Right? It's okay to trust people after they've passed enough of your tests that prove they deserve your trust. JJ says, I need the tools. It gets too much when you can't see who's in the zoo. Yes, 100%. Okay. I'm going to introduce you at Killer Influence. I'm going to introduce you, and in Defense Against the Dark Arts, I'm going to introduce you to a program developed by Wendy Patrick called Flags. It's a profiling system. And I think it's very, very useful for people who are still dating, if that makes any kind of, or vetting potential caregivers, right? It's really useful. We'll talk about it in Killer Influence. Can you see the last screen? Sure. So proactivity, identification, credibility, affirmation, emotional appeal. That's called the predator protocol. In order for predators to be able to do what they do, they need all 5 ingredients. Okay. The biggest one, and this is you're going to be learning the same skill sets, only you're going to use it for good instead of, and to keep yourself safe instead of taking advantage of people. But you're going to have to learn how to profile people, right? So that you can identify people that match your profile. You got to learn how to create identification so that people will bond with you. You've got to learn how to generate authority and social status so that when you give people an opinion or a direction or an instruction, they actually take it seriously. You've got to learn how to affirm people's beliefs so they know that you support them, right? You don't necessarily want to create an us versus them mindset. That's where it gets a little bit manipulatively, a little dodgy. You always want to generate emotional appeal because people chase emotional appeal. Okay. So is this helpful? Is this useful? All right. So in the spirit of proactivity, let's talk about how to take yourself off the menu. What do these guys actually look for? Well, one of the things that you want to watch out for is if you're taking any form of SSRI. An SSRI is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Okay, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. If you're on SSRIs, this will affect your mood. It will affect your perceptions and make you a bit more susceptible to influence. If there's been a recent death in the family, this will create emotional instability and a vacancy and a void that these people will want to fill. This is especially true with the death of a spouse or a parent. Right? History of mental illness. If you've ever been diagnosed, you are high on the list of people looking to infiltrate your life. Okay? If there's been a recent divorce or end of relationship, there's a void in your life that has caused your sense of identity or sense of self to be diminished. Let me talk about that one because this is something that's really important. One of the things that you'll learn about in Killer Influence is that when you're doing 3 Magic Questions protocol, people tend to associate who they are with what they do. So if you go up to somebody and you say, hey, what do you do for a living? They'll say, I am an accountant. I am a neurolinguistic programmer. I am a school teacher. Okay. Anytime you hear a sentence that starts with I am, what you're hearing is what is known as an identity statement. Identity is the result of our values. Now, one of the things that I've learned over many, many years of dealing with humans in their natural habitat is that there's 2 things that we become identified with. Remember, I started that with the identification principle. One of the things that we become identified with is the job that we do. Okay, most people don't say I do accounting. Most people don't say I teach elementary school or I teach NLP. They'll say I am a, right? I am a metaphysician. Exactly, right? That's a belief. Now, what happens if all of a sudden I am an accountant, all of a sudden he's no longer an accountant? What happens to his identity when the job that he's become identified as being part of who and what he is no longer there? It's like getting an arm lopped off, right? They're not whole anymore. And people become desperate to fill that hole, to feed that need, right? Same thing happens when we lose a loved one or a relationship ends. The other place where people become super identified is in their relationships. So anytime this is why many times when somebody loses a job, their relationship suffers. Every time somebody loses a relationship, they often wind up losing their job because the pillars of who they are and the stability of their world is in complete chaos now. It's completely open to be restructured, right? And so these are the things. And where do we go when those things happen? We go to support groups. We look for a community of divorced people, people going through divorce, people suffering from addiction, people suffering from the loss of a spouse, people suffering from gambling. And where do you think the predators go? Because why? Because there's buttons there they know how to push. So any kind of loss in your life that is either diagnosed, recent, or being medicated for is a lever that will flag you as somebody who's potentially manipulatable to these kinds of individuals. Okay. What else do they look for? Well, I'm glad you asked. Financial problems. This is a huge flag, right? One of the things that grifters love to look for, they're looking for people who have two basic qualities. They're greedy. They need money for some reason, and they are okay with shortcuts. Okay, they're looking for a shortcut, and they're looking to they need money or want more. Okay, so any recent financial problems, loss of credit, foreclosure, loss of a job, again, usually equals loss of money. So people start getting desperate. Okay, that makes you prime real estate for grifting. Okay, history of seeking help from suicide prevention lines. These people tend to be very high on the neuroticism spectrum. Neuroticism is actually a form of socialization. Normally socialized people have an average level of neuroticism. Neuroticism is what teaches us how to behave in public. But there are people who are super neurotic, and because they're super neurotic, everything is amplified. Every shame, every blame, every pain, every emotion. And so these people will seek out people to talk to. What are they doing? What are they really doing? They're looking for support. They're looking for a state change. Okay? Most of your bad guys are really, really good at pretending to be good guys. So once again, be very careful. If you're identifying with any of the things on this list, that should be high on your priority to resolve in some way. History of very few close friends, loners. Oops. Bullied people. Outcasts. Right? They look for people who are detached or estranged from their family. Once again, these people are feeling ostracized. God, my spelling is terrible today. You know what I mean? Or abandoned. Okay. They're looking for connection. They're looking for validation. They're looking for safety and security. This is a big one. And you'll see this a lot in girls who are high on what we call the deviance decision scale. They're looking for attention and difference. So these people will tend to be are very, very good candidates for human trafficking. Strong desire for self-expression. These are people who want to be and express themselves a certain way, but are persecuted but perceive being themselves as being persecuted. Being that. Okay. So I'm just elaborating a little bit on these things. If you, again, like I said before, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not saying if you're on these, you qualify for any of these things that you're going to be targeted. What I am saying is that these are the things that these predatory types look for. And so the more of these you can remove from your life or find some other way to ameliorate, the better off you are. History of abuse, physical or sexual. It's been shown that a high number of people who are raped tend to get raped again. I don't make the rules, I just report them, right? History of disconnection from friends and family, school, and work. Remember that these guys are playing a numbers game. They don't really care about the person at all. If they fail one, they're going to go on next. Social stability scale. We won't talk about that right now. We'll talk about that later. Love bombing, right? These are things that you might encounter. Okay. Let me look at the chat really quick here. Anyway, so questions on that? Yes? No? No questions? Most of you are like, holy shit, this got dark. Right? Is love bombing gaslighting? No. Love bombing and gaslighting are two very, very different and opposite processes. Can you save the chat? Yes, you can. Okay. Questions about any of that? How can we reduce neuroticism? Spend more time cleaning up your shit and reprogramming your behaviors, your beliefs, and how you express them. If you get self-mastery supercharger or secrets of personality transformation, those are kind of do-it-yourself programs that can help you reduce some of that. I recommend you get with somebody, a human being, who can actually guide you through those steps. But self-defense or self-mastery supercharger goes a long way in helping you kind of balance out that neuroticism stuff. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Bullies love hurting people. I love how to protect people. How to protect people I love from, okay. Well, first and foremost, there's this belief that bullies only target people that who can't fight back. That's not true. Bullies target people they can overpower. So you may be able to fight back, but if they can overpower you, you can still be the target of bullying. Okay. The difference between love bombing and gaslighting. Gaslighting is where somebody does something and you call them on it and they deny it and they tell you you're crazy. Right? They try to make you think you're the one that's wrong, that you're nuts, that you're insane, that you've got it completely off. Love bombing is where people bombard you with so much affection and connection and support and validation that it completely overwhelms your critical faculty. And you come to look at those people as your new family, right? Most cults will oscillate between gaslighting and love bombing, but it'll always start with love bombing. They will love bomb you, and they will move you to a different location. They will separate you from your family and all of your other identity anchors and context anchors. They will put you in a new environment with a new family structure, lots of positive affirmation, specific sets of rules to follow. And then they will systematically accuse you of breaking those rules, even when you haven't, punish you for it, and then love bomb you again. And so you're so conditioned to doing whatever is necessary to be accepted and approved of in that group that you completely overwrite your previous identity. Numbers game. Are you psychic? Am I psychic? No, I'm not psychic, but I play one on television, right? So here's the thing about bullies. You need to be willing to stand up for yourself, no matter what, win or lose. You need to be willing to do it over and over again when it's appropriate. But most importantly, you need to have the will to fight back. The thing about bullies is that they're looking for people they can overpower. Okay. And so while they're not necessarily cowards or fraidy cats, they're not looking for people that are going to give them a real fight. Right. So you may be willing to fight, but not have the physical or emotional strength to win in that battle. That doesn't mean you don't try. That doesn't mean you don't fight. Because the hardest thing to cultivate is the will to fight back. The other thing that happens when people are dealing with bullies, and this is something that we all have to find a way, to reconcile in our own way, is there are things that we know are legally wrong to do to protect ourselves, but are in our own minds ethically and morally right. Remember, cops and police, governments, they're not in the right or wrong business. They're in the legal, illegal business. So sometimes, in order to protect yourself, you've got to be proactive, which may violate laws. A lot of times, more damage is done by choosing not to fight in whatever way is appropriate and walking away than if you took the shot. Okay. Speaking as someone who grew up as a bullied kid, who was the son of an abused son, right? A father who did the best he could with the upbringing he had. And this is what I teach my kids, and I'm not advocating you teach this to your kids at all. Violence is rarely the answer to anything. But many times when it's the answer, it's the only answer. So my recommendation is everybody learn some or obtain some form of self-defense and be willing to use it. And establish for yourself very firm rules and boundaries, heuristics, if you will, for when to apply that level of self-defense and response. If you take the time to actually on paper externalize these things, it makes it much more likely that you're going to actually do them if the situation arises. It gives your mind a lot less doubt as to what you're doing. Cops are taught levels of escalation and de-escalation. Why? Because they're going to be confronted with these kinds of people all the time. We can learn a lesson from our law enforcement brothers and sisters. Rules of engagement, rules of response, right? If you take the time to outline what those are, and then you set about building and acquiring the resources to allow that to be done successfully, then you can move through the world with a lot more safety, confidence, and security. But a lot of people are waiting for somebody else to save them. They're waiting for somebody else to save them. Nobody's coming to save you. The government's not coming to save you. The cops are not coming to save you. Your mom or dad are not coming to save you. The only one who's going to save you is you. That sounds harsh. It sounds harsh. It sounds mean. This is the dark side. This is the truth. The people who are hunting you, the people who are chasing you, do not live by the rule of law. In fact, they hide behind the rule of law. They operate by the law of the jungle. Survival of the fittest. The strongest survive. The people with the power can do whatever they want because the people without it can't do anything. The rest of the sheeple, the people who believe in the rule of law, they're waiting for the law or the government or somebody else to step in and say, no, you can't do that. And by the time somebody does, if they do, the predator's long gone. Okay? There's a bunch of, when you come to Killer Influence, I'm going to give you a reading list as long as my arm on things you need to understand. But if you aren't willing, no matter how afraid you are, if you're not willing to stand up in the face of tyranny, and I'm talking about politics now. Tyranny is any form of imposition or violation of your boundaries, of people who are trying to impose their will on you in a way that you don't allow or accept or want. If you don't have the strength of character and the physical or emotional or financial or resource strength to back that up, you got to get it. Because the only rights you have as a human being are the ones you can fight for and protect. I love the Constitution of this country. I think it's one of the most amazing documents ever written. But the truth is, predators don't care about the Constitution. What they care about is what they can get away with right now. Okay? You need, the only rights you truly have in the eyes of those people are the ones you can protect. Right? That's not something a lot of you are going to want to hear. Right? You're going to want to hear that there's some magic language pattern that keeps you safe. There are systems that you can do, that you can use to make that easier, for sure. But if you're not willing to use the tools, it doesn't matter. So before I go on to the next phase, let me just review what we got going on, because I'm going to have to jump off soon. So for those of you who want the real tools, here it is. Secrets of Human Influence home study course is a $2,497 value. You're going to get the Defense Against the Dark Arts home study course, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the Renegade Reframing, how to overcome objections and eliminate limiting beliefs in seconds. By the way, when you're dealing with the manipulators and bullies of the world, Renegade Reframing is the bee's knees. It is the shit. Okay? You want to turn the tables on narcissists and gaslighters and love bombers and all that crap, cult recruiters. Oh my God. You'll see their fucking brains dribble out their ears when you hit them with the reframing stuff. It's crazy. Anyway, I digress. So $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. You're going to get your copy of Charisma and Conversion, $1,997 value, absolutely free. You're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597 value, absolutely free. And if you click that link, first-time buyers, before I log off, you're going to get a free VIP ticket to the next Killer Influence 5-day Covert Hypnosis Certification Bootcamp. It's a $3,150 value. You can get it absolutely free. Total value on this package is $14,232. You can get it all for one teeny tiny investment of $997. Or if you need an even tinier investment, you can break it up into 3 installments of just $397 each. All you got to do is click your link right now, www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's http://www.killerinfluence.com/go. Right. And yeah, just click that link right now, grab your course, and I will take you as far as I can down the personal protection rabbit hole. For those of you who do want more training on physical self-defense, we actually do have a training coming up in October 17th through the 20th called Secrets of Internal Power, designed for non-martial artists to teach you some dirty, rotten, sneaky self-defense tricks. You might want to check that out also. You can actually use your VIP ticket for that instead of the 5-day. Killer Influence, if you think you need the physical skills more than the mental skills. All right. That being said, let's move on to something else. And I think what we're going to talk about next, so we talked about the predator protocol. We talked about victimology. Let's talk about resistance removal really quick. Unless you guys got something else you want to talk about. I can talk about resistance removal, or we can talk about something else that has to do with defending yourself against the dark side. Column says that's perfect. How does this fit into all the advice that they give to stay out of the narcissist crosshairs? It's very simple. Narcissists are looking for people that are looking for heroes, that are looking for saviors. So anytime they can position themselves as the savior, the hero, the support, they're going to do that, right? Think about emotional appeal. Think about credibility and affirmation, all right? If you have a very low sense of self-esteem, self-worth, and somebody comes along, most narcissists come across as extremely confident, if a bit selfish. But when people are seeing through the eyes of attraction, they tend to take a lot of negative traits and process them as positive traits. You'll learn that when we talk about the flag system. So people who are very controlling will come across as very safety oriented, right? Things of that nature. It's a really interesting lens that it's like a funhouse mirror when people are seeing predators through the eyes of attraction. Okay. Any other questions before we move on to resistance removal? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on resistance removal because I've taught it in the past, but I think it's really, really, really important because every now and then you're going to hear no, and people don't want to hear no. If you've used the emotional motivation checklist, the emotional bonding checklist that we've described and we've demoed and we've walked you through, if you use that with your clients, just the way you saw me do it with Bernice, most people are going to want to do what you want them to do. Okay. So first thing you got to do when you want people to do things they just told you they didn't want to do is you have to acknowledge and support their right not to do it. And you have to make them believe you. We call this restoring personal autonomy. Okay. A person needs to have their own sense of freedom and choice validated and supported. And it has to be done in an authentic way, because if the person you're seeking to influence views you as having an agenda, then they're going to spin everything you say as an attempt to manipulate them. And the one thing that has to happen in order to get somebody to do the thing they just said they didn't want to do is they have to believe that you acknowledge, validate, and support their right not to do it without any judgment. Right? So the first thing that has to happen is you have to do that. So what does that look like? Let's say I have a client coming to me who wants to quit, or is there to learn how to stop smoking, right? But he's there, or she's there, because her husband wants her to quit. Her kids want her to quit. Her boss wants her to quit. Her in-laws want her to quit. Everybody wants this woman to quit. except her. And so one day she finally has had enough having her butt busted because of the fact that she enjoys smoking. So she says, okay, fine, I'll go see a hypnotist. And she walks into my clinic and she says, hi, David. I said, what can I do for you today? He goes, I need you to make me stop smoking. Well, there's a red flag right there. If you're a change worker and somebody says, I need you to make me do X, first thing that should, a little flag should go up right away. So this person doesn't want that to happen. This person doesn't want that, because if they wanted to do it, they wouldn't need you to make them do it. Okay, we call that a modal operator of necessity, which means that the impetus, the force, the power that's promoting them to change is coming from outside of them. People always look at things that are external to themselves as pain-centric. They look at things as being imposed on them. Okay, so that should be a flag right there. So the first thing you have to do is you have to convince that person in front of you that they don't have to change if they don't want to. That you're not on the side of the people trying to make them change, that you're on their side. So it might sound something like this. You know, Miss Jones, Betty, I get that your mom wants you to change, your husband wants you to change, your kids are on your case, your in-laws are busting your butt too. But I need to tell you something. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. When you walk through that door and you sit in that chair, you are my responsibility. You are my primary concern. I'm your guy. So I don't care what your husband wants. And I don't care what your kids want. And I don't care what your in-laws or your boss want you to do. I want to help you get what you want. So the simple truth is, if you don't want to quit smoking, I'm not going to try to make you quit smoking. In fact, if you want to enjoy smoking more, I'll help you do that. Right? If you want to sit in here for an hour, leave and tell your in-laws that it didn't work, I'll support you there. If you want to come here once a week, sit in my chair and work on something completely other than smoking, I'm good with that too. Because I'm here for you. I'm here to support you and help you make your life better because of what you want, not because of what everybody else wants. So let me ask you this, just so I understand you better. If you were to want to quit smoking, not for your husband's reasons or your kids' reasons or your boss or your in-laws, if you were to want to quit smoking for you, for Betty's reasons, why might you want to do that? Why might you want to do that? Now, most of the time, they're going to hem and haw a little bit, and they'll say, well, because of this. If I wanted to quit smoking, it would be, so I could save some money, I could have better health, it'd be nice to not hear everybody complain so much. Okay, so better health, save the money, not hear people. It'd be nice to hear people not complain so much. So I'm curious, Betty, just for the sake of conversation, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much might you want to, save the money, have better health, and not hear people bitch so much? Oh God, like a 9. Really? A 9? Wow. I'm really curious. Why so much? Why didn't you rate that less? What? Why do you want that so bad? What's so important about that? Well, because I want to be healthy and I want to be there for my kids. And obviously, it'd be nice to have a nice, peaceful home, not worrying about hearing people complain all the time. Of course, I want that. Okay. So I'm curious, what's the next step we need to take to help you have that? And how soon do you want to get started? Well, I guess I need to stop the smoking so I can, have that. And I guess now is a good time. Okay. So I've done that process on so many different situations and circumstances. But for those of you who want to see it in action, after you click the link and you reserve your package, if you go to my YouTube channel and you type in instant conversational pain relief, a video will come up
The audio is not so great because it was an impromptu breakout session at a convention. You will see me use a version of this process to completely argue somebody out of back pain. Swear to God. And what was funny is she was a hypnotist. She never saw this coming, right? It was completely impromptu, but you'll see the power of this protocol, right? The basis of this protocol is from a book called Instant Influence by Dr. Michael Pantalon. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I just gave you the demo and I just did each of the steps. So now I'm going to let you guys take a screenshot so you have it for your records. We'll cover this far more in depth at the next Killer Influence, and it's also covered very much in depth. Let me just get rid of some of this. We cover this very much in depth in your Defense Against the Dark Arts course and your Secrets of Personal Persuasion Home Study course. Okay. So here it is. Restore their personal autonomy. If you were to want to do X, why might you want to do that? Validate their response, echo their words, ask the next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much might you want to do that? They're going to give you a number from 1 to 10. Whatever it is, you repeat it. You echo their words. You validate their response. You ask the next question. So I'm curious. That's validate and soften. Why so much? Why didn't you rate that less? This is where the magic happens, by the way. When you ask this question, why didn't you rate it less? It reverses all the resistance that they were mustering to not do it and pushes them to want to do the opposite. The next question is, that's amazing. So what's the next step we need to take to move forward? How soon do you want to get started? Right? So there's the whole process right there. Let me kind of close this up a little bit so it all fits on one page. Okay. Questions? Okay. That being said, so that's about all we have time for, folks. Hopefully you guys saw the light, grabbed your courses, and are ready to go. In case you were on the fence, now's the last call. When I log off tonight's webinar, all the fast action bonuses, the Mastermind mentoring program, the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, and of course the VIP Super Ticket, they're off the table. So if you've been on the fence up to this point, well, would now be a good time to click those links and reserve your programs, okay? That being said, let me just review what you're getting one last time. You will get the Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course valued at $2,497. Defense Against the Dark Arts, $1,997 value. We're going to give this for you free. You're going to get the Renegade Reframing, Objection Obliteration, and Conversational Hypnosis Mastery, $1,997 value, free. Charisma and Conversion, $1,997 value, free. The NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $997 value. I'm sorry, $1,597 value. The Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value. And of course, that VIP Super Ticket, the next Killer Influence, Secrets of Covert Hypnosis Certification Bootcamp, live in California. All you got to do is click your link, click your link, click your link. And if you need to, we can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397 each. Okay, that's all I got. Remember, if you have questions, when the replay goes live, usually it takes about 30-40 minutes for the replay to show up in the live stream segment of the YouTube channel. Please type your questions. All right. Reach out to Moss and Mia, Moss at NLPpower.com, Mia, NLPpower.com. Call the office, leave your name and number so we know you qualify. 858-282-4663. Special thanks to Holly Bigelow, Seth Breedbart, Brandon Burr, and Moss Lightman, who are manning the back of the room, making sure you guys get what you need in the fastest way humanly possible. I hope you had an amazing time. If you enjoyed this content, if you'd like to see more, please like and share these videos. Send this to people you think you would benefit from it. And by all means, click that link so I can personally guide you into the wonderful world of persuasion, influence, and defense against the dark arts. This is Dr. David Snyder. I love you. Good night, and God bless. Take care.